Chapter 957. If his sister-in-law knew about this, he really didn't know how she would react. He was very worried. Yi Juetian's attitude was very obvious. He was definitely standing on his sister-in-law's side. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were a bit puzzled. This person actually revealed a hostile gaze towards us? What does he mean? At the very least, there wasn't any at the beginning. It was only after hearing his introduction. I am your husband's younger brother, Yi Juetian said in a low voice. Hearing what Yi Juetian said, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were shocked. This was indeed shocking. Yi Hua has a biological younger brother? I have never heard Yi Hua mention this matter before. However, right now Qingye and Donghuang Baiji had no choice but to believe Yi Hua's words. Judging from Yi Hua's attitude these few days, and his appearance, Yi Hua's blood-related younger brother should be the real deal. But, in a situation where Yi Hua knows that I have a blood-related younger brother, why did he still lock this blood-related younger brother up? Just what is the meaning of this? The two women were very confused, not knowing what Yi Hua was thinking about. The three of them were silent for a long time, each thinking about their own matters. Yi Juetian felt that this matter couldn't be blamed on them. Big Brother was currently in a state of amnesia, and had completely forgotten about sister-in-law. But in his heart, he felt that it was unfair for sister-in-law. Sister-in-law was infatuated, but in the end, she got such a result. This was very unfair to sister-in-law. Did Big Brother have a change of heart? Did Yi Hua have a change of heart? Actually, from the very start, the reason why they got together was because of the child. Donghuang Baiji was the same as well. Because Donghuang Baiji gave birth to a child, Yi Hua felt that Donghuang Baiji was his woman, and thus, Donghuang Baiji was his woman. How could he possibly allow his woman to be with another man? How could this be? However, in the situation where they interacted with each other, Yi Hua gradually experienced the taste of love. It was very comfortable, and Yi Hua was infatuated with it. Of course, Qing Yutong was the only one who became pregnant under the circumstance that she didn't have a child. The stimulation of this matter should be greater than the love. Are you really Yi Hua's blood-related younger brother? Qingye asked with a surprised tone. Yes, we are blood brothers with the same father and mother, Yi Juetian said with certainty. That blood test was also a fact placed in front of him. Donghuang Baiji asked confusedly. That Yi Hua never mentioned you before. Because Big Brother lost his memory. Memory loss? Qingye and Donghuang Baiji cried out in surprise. Yi Juetian let out a long sigh. That's right, Big Brother and I are both deities, and we have been living in spirit capital since 1,000 years ago. Because of a war, there was no news of Big Brother, and we all thought that Big Brother had died. However, just a few days ago, when I came down, I saw Big Brother. Big Brother didn't die. But everything has been forgotten. 1,000 years. Yi Hua was a deity who lived in Lingdu, and he was killed? This is different from what Yi Hua said. Yi Hua said that his group was wiped out in Kangluo continent, not in Spiritual City. How did you get to know Big Brother? Yi Juetian asked. Qingye took a deep breath. This is a long story, we will be leaving first. After finished speaking, Qingye pulled Donghuang Baiji and left. The amount of information that Donghuang Baiji had just received was too huge, and I'm a little unable to accept it. I have to go out and clear my head. Seeing that the two women were about to leave, Yi Juetian shouted out, Sister-in-law, let Big Brother sober up, he has become much more savage than before. In actuality, Yi Juetian didn't want to call her sister-in-law. In Yi Juetian's heart, there was only one sister-in-law, but he didn't know what to call her. In any case, she was his Big Brother's wife right now, so he could only call her like this. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji paused for a moment. The two women knew about Yi Hua's savagery. However, that wasn't Yi Hua's fault. Yi Hua wasn't a man who would take the initiative to cause trouble. It was those who came to provoke Yi Hua without any regard for their lives, causing Yi Hua to be enraged. The two walked out of the underground prison. Seeing the expression of Yi Hua's wife, LV Tao and Yi Hong thought in their hearts. As expected. Along the way, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji didn't speak and walked silently. Very soon, they arrived at Yi Hua's bedroom. Yi Hua was currently sitting in the pavilion, and Daji was kneeling beside him, brewing tea. Looking at Yihua's face, they really look exactly the same. Only blood-related brothers can look like this. The two women let out a sigh of relief, then walked towards Yihua. Madams. Daji greeted respectfully, then brewed 2 cups of tea for Yihua. Yihua drank the tea and asked faintly, "You have met him, right?" Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were startled. As expected, we can't escape from this. Thus, they didn't deny it and nodded their heads. Yihua placed down the teacup, then took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Recently, I haven't smoked for a very long time, but these few days, my mood was a bit gloomy. Thus, I specially went to buy a Furong King cigarette. Afterward, Yihua used the deviant fire on his fingertip to light up the cigarette, then slowly took a puff. "Does he look like me?" Yihua asked in a low voice. His tone seemed to be very helpless. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji nodded their heads. "Not only does he look like me, if he had the same hairstyle, then when he acts cool, he would look exactly the same." "He said that I lost my memory. Do you two believe him?" Yihua asked. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji didn't know how to answer. This question was rather thorny. However, he is indeed my blood-related younger brother. Does this mean that I have really lost my memory? Yihua laughed lightly, with a bit of self-mockery in his voice. The two women became speechless once again. No wonder Yihua has been acting so strangely these few days. If he were to encounter any enemies, he wouldn't even care about them, and he would even be very happy that an enemy had appeared. However, even though the enemy wasn't an enemy, the enemy was even scarier than the enemy, because the enemy that Yihua's current life might become complicated. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji both knew that Yihua hated complicated things. Daji poured more tea for Yihua. Yihua picked up the teacup and blew on it, then said faintly, "He said that I was a hero in the past, he." After finished speaking, Yihua lightly took a sip of the tea. "I, the Supreme Overlord, am a hero? I have killed so many people that I can't even remember how many people I have killed. What a joke. If I was a hero in the past, then I am an ambitious and ruthless person right now. Whoever wants to be a hero can go ahead and be one. I, the Supreme Overlord, will never be a hero in my entire life. Do you two think that I should get to the bottom of this as well?" Yihua looked at his two beloved wives and asked. He was also seeking Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's opinion. If he were to get to the bottom of this matter, Yihua felt that it would be rather troublesome. If he didn't want to get to the bottom of this matter, then his current life wouldn't change, and he would just have to live the way he was supposed to live. As for Yi Juetian, all he had to do was to send him to the heavens again. However, from Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's point of view, they still hoped that Yihua would be able to get to the bottom of this matter. That way he wouldn't have any regrets. Family members were also indispensable. Thinking up to here, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji held on to Yihua's hand and gave him encouragement. It is better to get to the bottom of some things. Yihua, you are a brave man, but your current behavior is a bit cowardly, Donghuang Baiji said with a teasing tone. Hearing that, Yihua laughed lightly. Indeed, the current me is a bit cowardly, and I don't dare to face the things that happened in the past. This was also human nature. For Yihua to have such a reaction, it meant that he was becoming more and more like a human, and not a cold-blooded undead. Yihua couldn't help but pinch onto Donghuang Baiji's cheek. Your Majesty, you are mischievous. Chapter 958. Editor. Milman 97-inch. Alright Yihua. Alright Yihua, let that little brother of yours out. How can there be a big brother like you, locking someone up just because of a disagreement? Qingye lightly patted on the back of Yihua's hand, giving him encouragement. Yihua drank the tea in the teacup, then nodded his head, then told Wei Chang to bring the person over. After a while, Wei Chang and Yi Juetian could be seen walking over. This was the first time Daji saw Yi Juetian, and she was a bit stupefied. She looked at her master, then looked at this Yi Juetian. They really look alike. Even if it was Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, they couldn't help but sigh at the strength of this gene. Yihua didn't look at them and continued drinking his tea. Actually, in Qingye's eyes, the more Yihua acted like he didn't care, the more he cared. Yi Juetian knew that it would be like this. After Big Brother's wife sees me, She will definitely tell Big Brother about it. If it is a good woman, I will definitely come out. As expected, I came out. This means that the two wives that Big Brother found are both good women. Yi Juetian's impression of Qingye and Donghuang Baiji increased by quite a bit. However, who is that flirtatious woman at the side? She is actually kneeling at the side and brewing tea, seemingly very respectful towards Big Brother. Could it be that she is also Big Brother's woman? Not only did Big Brother become ferocious, he also became lecherous. He is definitely controlled by people from Shanghai. After all, in the eyes of Shanghai, being able to turn a deity bad is a magnificent feat. Yihua waved his hand, and Wei Chang left respectfully. Come over. Yihua said faintly. Hearing Big Brother's words, Yi Juetian felt that his tone was exactly the same as before. Only when he was talking to mother and sister-in-law would his tone be a bit gentler. Yi Juetian obediently walked into the pavilion. Daji still brewed a cup of tea and handed it over. Yi Juetian felt that this woman shouldn't be Big Brother's woman. After all, Big Brother's woman is sitting at the side, and this woman looks more like a servant. Yi Juetian thanked, then sat at the side and lightly took a sip. Good tea. No, this tea is brewed well. Big Brother still knows how to enjoy himself. Big Brother, come back with me. If mother knows that you are still alive, she will be very happy. Yi Juetian placed down the teacup and said with a pleading tone. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji slightly frowned. And his mother, wasn't that his mother-in-law? Is Yihua's mother powerful? Is she the strict type? I heard that mothers-in-law are usually the strict type. Is she satisfied with me? All kinds of questions were hovering in Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's mind, and they suddenly felt that their current life was pretty good. Not interested. Yihua said faintly. The word mother was too unfamiliar. Most importantly, she didn't know how to face it. I've lived alone for 1,000 years. I'm used to it. Hearing his Big Brother's cold tone, Yi Juetian was very anxious and quickly said, Big Brother, ever since there was no news of you, mother has been sick and is currently relying on the spirit spring to hang on to her last breath. Mother just wants to see you once, Big Brother. After Qingye and Donghuang Baiji heard what Yihua said, both of them were astonished. They didn't expect that Yihua's mother would actually be seriously ill and unable to get up. Furthermore, she was only hanging on to her last breath just to wait for her son to come back. The two women felt a little sour in their hearts. After all, they were also mothers. If their children disappeared, they would feel the same way. Thus, even now, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji still hoped that Yihua would be able to go and take a look. However, to Yihua, back then when he broke out from the ground, he was just a skeleton. How could he have a mother? That mother was basically a stranger. In Yihua's heart, how could he not have fantasized about his mother? However, when his mother really appeared before his eyes, he had a feeling of being abandoned, a feeling of being an orphan. Back then, I was just a skeleton, and everyone who saw me beat me up into a skeleton. No one cared about me, no one cared about me. And right now you are telling me that I have a mother who is seriously ill? If that is the case, when I was being humiliated back then, where did everyone go? Everything that I have right now was exchanged with my life. I no longer owe anyone anything. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji could sense Yihua's unhappiness, and they didn't really understand what was going through Yihua's mind right now. Suddenly, Yihua didn't want to think about the past anymore. The past has nothing to do with me anymore. Ever since I broke out from the ground, I am no longer a person. I am an undead clan member. I am an undead for the rest of my life. I have never been a human. You can go back now. Just act as if you never saw me, and don't let me see you in the future either. Yihua said coldly. These few days he had been thinking about this problem, but right now he already had an answer. Hearing his Big Brother say such heartless words, anger appeared on Yi Juetian's face. I really feel that my mother and sister-in-law are wronged. Bang. Yi Juetian immediately slammed the table. This gave Qingye and Donghuang Baiji a fright. You are the first man who dares to slap the table in front of Yihua. Daji, who was kneeling at the side, was also waiting for orders. As long as Yihua gives a look, this man will be instantly killed. To actually be disrespectful in front of the master. Big Brother. You actually said such words. You have disappointed the hearts of those who are worried about you. Mother has already been lying on the sickbed for so long, and she just wants to see you. Sister-in-law kneels in the temple and prays to the heavens every day to ensure your safety. Is it that difficult for you to see her? Are you still the Yihua from back then? Sister-in-law? Qingye and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze. Even Yihua went into a daze. Daji felt disappointed. Why didn't I get a share? Yihua actually had a wife in the past. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji immediately felt uncomfortable in their hearts. They felt that they were like a mistress who destroyed the relationship of another family. I wonder if Yihua had a child in the past. Right now, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji finally knew why Yihua had been thinking about it for the past few days. Most likely, it was because he was afraid that such a thing would happen. Yihua didn't think of this problem, but now that Yi Juetian said it, other than being a bit surprised, he didn't have any other emotions. After all, that was something that happened in the past. Scram! Yihua shouted out coldly. You! Yi Juetian pointed at Yihua, angered to the point that he couldn't even speak. Yihua looked towards his own younger brother and said gravely, "Before I change my mind, you better obediently scram. Big brother, you have disappointed us too much. I don't have a big brother like you in the future." Yi Juetian was also angered to the point of going mad. His body gradually became faint, and soon after he transformed into a rainbow and charged into the sky. This reunion between brothers should have been a happy thing, but in the end, it ended in such a manner. In Yi Juetian's heart, Big Brother is so ruthless. However, in Yihua's heart, the things that happened in the past have nothing to do with me anymore, and I don't want to bother about it anymore. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji didn't know how to console Yihua. In fact, they even felt that Yihua was currently very irritated, and it would be better for them not to console him right now. The cigarette in Yihua's hand never stopped, and from this, it could be seen how he was feeling right now. Baidu search 081 Chinese website Yen. Chapter 959. Omega, choking with sobs. Novel. In actuality, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were also feeling very vexed. Just who was Yihua before he lost his memories? Based on what Yi Juetian had just said, he should be someone who was loved and respected by many. Yihua had a wife in the past, and she was even waiting for Yihua to come back. This was not good news at all. The entire matter was very troublesome. I don't know how Yihua is going to deal with this. However, since such a thing has happened, is Yihua really going to treat it as if nothing happened? It shouldn't be possible. Right now, Yihua was just unable to accept it. On the other side, Yi Juetian returned to spiritual capital with a belly full of anger. Spirit capital was the center of God's realm. Just like the one that Yihua destroyed in the past, it was just a small place. Spirit capital was different. Powerful supremes were gathered here. There were even a few supremes. Dozuns could be seen everywhere. However, in this place strength was an advantage, but one still needed the authority of a family. A large family was more useful than a paragon. For example, the Yi family was one of the 3 great families of Spirit City, but it was not as glorious and beautiful as it used to be. Ever since the eldest son of Yi family, Yihua, went missing 1,000 years ago, Yi family began to gradually decline, and Yi family had already been replaced by Yi family. However, Yi family was still the leader of the second-tier families. Other than the 3 big families, Yi family was the only one left. Spirit capital was no different from the empires in the Kangluo continent. They both had houses and imperial cities. The only difference was probably the environment. The air was filled with rich spiritual energy, which was worlds apart from the Kangluo continent. When Yi Juetian appeared on the streets of Lingdu, quite a few girls looked at him with gazes of adoration. And there were even some girls who saw Yi Juetian as Yihua's substitute. After all, the 2 brothers were simply too alike, and it was as if Yihua had not died back then, and was still standing right in front of them, alive and well. Yi Juetian didn't have the slightest intention of showing off today. His face was stiff, and there was a suffocating feeling in his chest. Big Brother had changed. That person was not his big brother at all. Big Brother was indeed cold in the past, but his heart was still warm. He was very good to his family, friends, and brothers. Even if he knew that his brothers were jealous, he would still come forward to help. In Big Brother's words, they were all brothers, so there was no need to be so calculative. The Big Brother of the past and the Big Brother of the present were like two polar opposites. He really couldn't understand them. Unknowingly, Yi Juetian had arrived at the entrance of the Yi clan's residence. Yi family. 2 words were engraved on the black signboard in a flamboyant style, and a powerful aura emanated from it. On both sides of the signboard were not lions but jade dragons. This was bestowed by Lingdu's emperor, a reward for Yi family's many years of contributions. Of course, this was something that happened after Yi Hua went missing. Only the Yi clan could enjoy such an imperial gift. The current 3 great clans did not have such treatment. After all, the dragon was the symbol of the emperor. Young Master Yi. The guards standing on both sides of the Yi family greeted respectfully. Yi Juetian walked in with a gloomy face, causing the family guards to be a bit suspicious. This Yi family's 6th brother was not normal. In the past he would always tease him, but today his face was gloomy. Could it be that he encountered something unhappy? Or did he suffer a loss outside? If that was the case, then it must be the other 3 big families. Thinking back to the past, the Yi family was so glorious. But the glory of the past was gone forever. The Yi family's residence had never changed, and the Yi family still enjoyed the same treatment as before. There was a small bridge and flowing water in the residence, and the environment was elegant. It was the best place to stay healthy, and with the fragrance in the air, it was truly a pleasant place. 6th brother, what have you been doing these few days? Just as Yi Juetian was preparing to go to his mother's courtyard, a voice sounded out from behind. Yi Juetian slowly turned his head around. The man who was standing not far away had an outstanding appearance, and he looked somewhat similar to Yi Juetian. He was Yi family's 3rd brother Yi Chen. 3rd brother. Yi Juetian cupped his hands and greeted. In the Yi family, they still paid a lot of attention to the order of seniority, and this also meant that the teachings of the Yi family were very strict. Don't cause trouble outside. If you cause trouble, even the Yi family won't be able to protect you. Yi Chen said lightly, then turned around and left. But even so, Yi Juetian still cupped his hands and sent him off. After all, he was the youngest one. Yi Juetian let out a breath, then continued to walk towards his mother's room. When he stood at his mother's door, Yi Juetian hesitated again. Should I tell my mother about this matter? If my mother heard that Big Brother is still alive, she would definitely be very happy. But now Big Brother doesn't even acknowledge you at all. Wouldn't my mother be even sadder after hearing this? Little Tian? Is that you? A weak voice sounded out from within the room. Yi Juetian let out a small breath, then squeezed out a smile on his face as he pushed open the door and entered the room. Within the room, there was a middle-aged woman who was dressed very simply. But even if that was the case, the middle-aged woman's beauty could not be concealed. The reason why Yi Hua and Yi Juetian were so handsome was all because of their mother. As expected, only with powerful genes would one be able to give birth to such outstanding children. There was still a deity being worshipped in the room, and Yi Juetian could tell that his mother had just finished praying. But now he felt that this kind of praying was completely useless. Big Brother doesn't even want to come back to see you. Little Tian, come and sit. Lu Jing waved her hand with a kind smile on her face. Many years ago, Lu Jing was a famous beauty in Lingdu. She was proficient in the 4 arts of zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and countless men prostrated themselves before her. But now, ever since her son went missing, there were more and more wrinkles on her face, and there were more and more white hairs on her temples. In fact, there were even more and more white hairs on her face, and she no longer had the beautiful appearance she had back then. One had to know that gods had an ageless appearance. It was strange for Lu Jing to have such a situation, but Lu Jing had no intention of changing. Underneath this, there was even a vicious demon of illness that required a drop of spirit spring water to survive. Seeing his mother like this, Yi Juetian felt very uncomfortable. Back then, his father doted on his mother the most, but in the end his mother missed his big brother and gradually changed. Now he rarely came to visit his mother. Sometimes he even had to beg his father for the spirit spring water that his mother used. This was how he had been living for the past 1,000 years. Yi Juetian sat beside her mother, and when Lu Jing looked at Yi Juetian, it was as if she was looking at her own Yi Hua. Only at this moment would I have the motivation to continue waiting. Little Tian, what's wrong today? Lu Jing held her son's hand and asked with concern. Yi Juetian felt the coldness of his mother's palm and frowned. Mother, have you taken your medicine? Yes, Lu Jing said softly. Her gentle smile seemed to be telling her son not to worry about his mother. Yi Juetian looked at the golden jade bottle beside him. Don't think that it's just a small bottle. It's a primordial divine artifact. Green essence pot. A small thing that can preserve the medicinal properties of the spirit spring. The spirit spring needed this green essence pot to store it. If one were to use other things, it would be completely useless. After all, spirit spring water was very rare, and only the royal family had it. And his mother needed a drop of it every day. And if she stopped using it, her life would be in danger. Baidu search 881 Chinese website yen. No advertising words. Chapter 960. Yi Juetian immediately opened the green essence pot. It was already empty inside. Lu Jing smiled gently as if she was comforting her son. However, when he saw his mother's smile, Yi Juetian felt like crying. He hated himself for being useless. If he had even half of his big brother's talent, he wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Mother, I will go and ask for it from father. Yi Juetian held onto the green essence pot and said in a deep voice. Lu Jing grabbed her son's sleeve and shook her head. Little Tian, forget it. Don't go looking for him. He has to go beg others. Mother doesn't want to be a burden to you. Mother, don't worry, I will have a way. I will definitely have a way. Yi Juetian said in a deep voice. Looking at his mother's pale face, his heart ached endlessly. Lu Jing held her son tightly and said softly, Little Tian, you know your mother's illness. I beg you this time, but there will be a next time, and a time after that. There will be no end. Then I'll go find sister-in-law. Actually, what Yi Juetian wanted to say was that his sister-in-law had given him even more, and his father rarely went to ask for money anymore. He felt that his father had already abandoned his mother. Little Tian, Yuqing has already done enough. Mother doesn't want to see you two continue to work so hard. Yihua has already been gone for so many years, and I have already accepted it. You should properly guide Yuqing and tell her to stop being so stubborn. Just agree to the imperial family, Lu Jing said softly. 100 years after Yihua went missing, Yi family declined and Qian family, which was also one of the three big families, proposed to cancel the marriage. Everyone knew that Yihua and Qian Yuqing only stopped at the wedding ceremony and didn't even have the time to consummate their marriage. After that, they were called to go to war and never came back. However, even if they had consummated their marriage, many people wouldn't care. After all, Qian Yuqing's appearance was intoxicating. Of course they would want such a woman. What else could the declining Yi clan do? They could only comply with the Qian clan. Qian Yuqing, who was originally living in the Yi clan, was taken away. At that time, Qian Yuqing didn't want to leave no matter what. That day, spirit capital resounded with Qian Yuqing's mournful cries. Many people heard it. The heavens were weeping. Yihua and Qian Yuqing's feelings for each other were spread all over the streets and alleys of Spirit City. However, in recent years, only the royal family wanted to marry Qian Yuqing. According to tradition, a member of the royal family could not marry a woman who had been married before. However, this prince was different. His talent and strength were comparable to Yehua back then, and thus, the emperor approved of it. After all, his son liked him. However, Qian Yuqing wouldn't agree no matter what. She declared that she was Yihua's woman in this lifetime, and even if she were to die, she would still be Yihua's woman. This was no less than offending the royal family. If it was Qian family, it would still be fine, but it was Yihua. Even though Yihua had been dead for 1,000 years, there were still people discussing about Yihua. This made the imperial family very unhappy, and Yi family had once again offended the imperial family. The spirit spring water that Lu Jing needed came from the royal family, and the royal family could cut it off and give it to her whenever they wanted. Knowing such a thing, Lu Jing didn't want them to beg. If she died, the whole Yi family would be relaxed, and there was no need to compromise. Sister-in-law won't agree, Yi Juetian said in a low voice. His hands tightly gripped the green essence pot. He was also thinking about a problem. Should he tell his mother? Big brother was still alive, but it was useless. Lu Jing held her son's hand tightly and said in a low voice, "Little Tian, just say mother needs the spiritual spring. Yuqing will understand." "Mother, how can you be like this? You are pushing sister-in-law away," Yi Juetian said in shock. He immediately understood what his mother meant. For the sake of the spiritual spring, sister-in-law married into the royal family. Lu Jing let out a light sigh. "Could it be that you want to see your Yuqing become like me? Yuqing is still young, and has a beautiful future ahead of her. I have also heard of Huang Yun before. He is a person who is comparable to Yi Hua. For Yuqing to marry such a person, I will be at ease." "Mother, actually, alright, don't say any more. Just do as mother says. It is time for this matter to come to an end." Yi Juetian wanted to say it out, but in the end, he was interrupted by his mother. However, right now he still had to go and find sister-in-law to ask for some of the spiritual spring water. Mother's complexion looked very bad. "Mother, rest well, I will be back soon." Yi Juetian nodded his head and said gravely. Lu Jing revealed out a gratified smile, then stretched out her ice-cold hand and caressed Yi Juetian's face. "The happiest thing that happened in mother's life is giving birth to the two of you. I don't have any regrets anymore." "Mother, you won't have any regrets. Believe me, big brother is definitely still alive. Yi Hua has always been living in mother's heart," Lu Jing said slowly with boundless longing. Looking at her youngest son, it was as if she was looking at Yi Hua again. The two brothers really look alike. Yi Juetian took in a deep breath. "Mother, wait for me to come back." After finished speaking, Yi Juetian ran out of the room and closed the door. Looking at the cold and cheerless courtyard, his heart felt like it was going to turn cold. Just now, mother seemed to be saying her last words. This feeling is really not good. How can I let big brother come back and take a look at mother? Even if it is just a look. Sister-in-law? Right now, I can only rely on sister-in-law. Back then, big brother was also very obedient to sister-in-law. However, if sister-in-law really went to look for big brother, wouldn't that make the royal family angry? At that time, the consequences would be very serious. What if no one finds out? This is a good idea. I can only let sister-in-law go and erase the demon in big brother's heart, and let big brother return to how he was in the past. I wonder what kind of expression sister-in-law will have when she hears the news that big brother is still alive. She will probably be stupefied, right? Yi Juetian hurriedly went to look for sister-in-law. Right now, sister-in-law is definitely praying in the temple, but right now, she is praying at home and is being grounded. Right now, we need a secret passageway. I heard that this secret passageway was dug by sister-in-law herself, and she directly dug it into big brother's room. I simply admire sister-in-law's courage. In order to sneak a peek at big brother bathing, she was willing to do anything. However, this is also what makes sister-in-law cute. Yi Juetian came to big brother's room, and the room was already covered in dust. Yi Juetian walked to the flower screen and opened up the floorboard. A passageway appeared below, and it could directly lead to Qian family. After all, I can't openly look for sister-in-law anymore. Qian family and Yi family have long stopped talking and cut off all ties with each other. Very quickly, Yi Juetian came to the top of the passageway and lightly knocked on it, then waited for a response. Very quickly, footsteps sounded out from the top of the passageway. Yi Juetian was now at ease, and he moved his head away from the top of the passageway. A face that was so beautiful that it could make one suffocate appeared in front of him. Although it was just a plain dress, it was unable to conceal that breathtaking look. Her eyebrows were like the faint moon, and her eyes were like the cold stars. A layer of haziness surged within her jet-black and deep eyes, and that slight smile made one feel as if they were bathing in spring water. However, Yi Juetian knew that sister-in-law was lying to him. Chapter 961. Sister-in-law. Although Qian Yuqing was no longer a member of Yi family, Yi Juetian would still frequently call Qian Yuqing as his sister-in-law. Of course, it was also Qian Yuqing's request to call Qian Yuqing that. This way, I feel that I am still Yihua's wife, and not like what the outside world is saying, that I already have nothing to do with Yihua. As expected, when Yi Juetian called out sister-in-law, Qian Yuqing was stunned for a moment. The smile on her face gradually fell. Little Tian, you're here? Qian Yuqing let out a light sigh. This is not Yihua. Yi Juetian jumped out from the tunnel. Sister-in-law, how have you been recently? Qian Yuqing looked at Yi Juetian and nodded. I've never had a good time. Little Tian, come and have a seat. Qian Yuqing said softly. She walked to the side of the table and opened a box. Inside was a bottle of green essence pot. Qian Yuqing took out the green yuan pot and said softly, Little Tian, this is for mother. Sister-in-law. Yi Juetian looked at the small bottle in Qian Yuqing's hand and said, I will think of a way in the future. Don't worry, little Tian. Qian Yuqing squeezed out a trace of a smile. How do I think of a way? Right now the only thing that can protect my mother is... Sister-in-law. Could it be that you've agreed to marry Huang Yin? Yi Juetian looked at his sister-in-law and asked. It was as if he was saying, Didn't you say that you only love Big Brother? Why did you change? Qian Yuqing said in a low voice, Little Tian, the spirit spring is in the hands of the royal family. Only Huang Yin can save mother now. Do you understand? Sister-in-law. Yi Juetian cried out in pain. On one side was his mother, and on the other side was his sister-in-law. Could it be that he had no choice but to watch as his mother died? But did he have to watch his sister-in-law marry into the royal family? Wasn't there a better way? Little Tian, this is all I can do for your big brother. Qian Yuqing said with a satisfied smile. As long as I am able to do something for Yihua, I will be very satisfied. Furthermore, the other party is Yihua's mother. Sister-in-law, Big Brother is still alive. Yi Juetian couldn't help but shout out in a low voice. After hearing this, Qian Yuqing was not overly excited. This kind of comfort was not something that had never happened before. And I know, your big brother is definitely alive right now, definitely. Qian Yuqing said with certainty. She firmly believed that Yihua was still alive right now, he wouldn't die. Yi Juetian knew that his sister-in-law misunderstood and hurriedly said, Big Brother is really alive. Qian Yuqing looked at Yi Juetian in confusion. I met Big Brother a few days ago. He was currently on the Kangluo continent. You even told me to come back this morning. Qian Yuqing looked at Yi Juetian in a daze. Her expression was a little strange, as if she couldn't believe the truth of those words. Sister-in-law. It's true. I've been locked up by Big Brother for the past few days. Big Brother has lost his memory. He doesn't remember anything. Following Yi Juetian's explanation, Qian Yuqing's expression was calm. However, the tears in her eyes were like pearls from a broken necklace. Only after a while did Qian Yuqing's expression change. With a look of panic and nervousness, she grabbed Yi Juetian's shoulders with both hands. Really? You're not lying to me? It's true. Big Brother is really still alive. At that time, even I jumped in fright. Big Brother himself seemed to have jumped in fright as well. Then Big Brother used a blood test method to verify it. Yi Juetian's words made Qian Yuqing feel like she was about to go crazy. After waiting for 1,000 years, this day had finally arrived. I just knew that Yihua wouldn't die. How could Yihua die so easily? So he lost his memory. Heavens bless him. Qian Yuqing hurriedly knelt in front of the god and sincerely kowtowed with a heart full of gratitude. Yi Juetian stood at the side and watched. He did not stop Qian Yuqing. Sister-in-law, there's even worse news. As long as Yihua is still alive, there's no worse news. Qian Yuqing finally smiled. It was as if she had returned to the past. That feeling of joy caused her entire person to go through a tremendous change. In the past she was lifeless, but right now, it was as if she had come back to life. She emitted an enchanting radiance and looked exceptionally moving. Sister-in-law, listen to me, it really is bad news. Qian Yuqing stood up with a joyful mood and asked curiously, Is Yihua still well? The current Qian Yuqing looked as if she had returned to when she was 18 years old. Right now, Big Brother is no longer the Big Brother in the past, Yi Juetian said gravely. After hearing that, Qian Yuqing slightly wrinkled her eyebrows and asked in a low voice, "What happened? Sister-in-law, do you know under what circumstances did I coincidentally meet Big Brother? Over 10,000 people begged me to go down." Over 10,000 people? Qian Yuqing was very puzzled. And Big Brother killed those 10,000 people who were unarmed and defenseless. There were old and young among them. Not a single one was left alive and all of them were beheaded, Yi Juetian said with a heavy tone. Impossible, Qian Yuqing said straightforwardly. In her heart, Yi Hua was an indomitable man, so how could he possibly go and kill defenseless and defenseless people? Yi Juetian took in a deep breath. In the beginning, I was also unable to imagine it, but this is real. I saw it with my own eyes, and soon after, I was locked up by Big Brother. Yi Hua locked you up? Qian Yuqing was very puzzled. If what Xiao Tian said is true, then Yi Hua's change is truly earth-shattering. And in the end, or what? In the end, it was Big Brother's 2 wives who discovered me and begged for mercy for me. Only then did he let me out. Yi Juetian couldn't help but say. As expected, after hearing that Yi Hua had 2 wives, Qian Yuqing immediately felt a sense of powerlessness, and her gaze became lax. This is truly not good news. Although Yi Juetian was angry at Big Brother in his heart, he still had to explain this matter to Yi Hua. Sister-in-law, Big Brother has lost his memory right now and doesn't remember anyone, that's why he married a wife. Although this was the case, Qian Yuqing still felt uncomfortable in her heart, because Yi Hua had said before that he would only have me in this life, and that I am his one and only. Right now, telling her that what Yi Hua said back then was fake, how can I feel good about it? As expected, Yi Hua is a swindler, and furthermore, he loves swindling his wives the most. Sister-in-law, Big Brother is a cruel tyrant right now. Today, when I asked Big Brother to come back to meet Mother and you, he told me to scram, and if I didn't scram, he said that he wanted to kill me. And he even said that what happened in the past has nothing to do with him. After hearing what Yi Hua said, Qian Yuqing slightly lowered her head, seemingly a bit sad. I have waited for you for over 1,000 years. Why aren't you willing to come and see me? Sister-in-law, right now, only you are able to awaken the conscience in Big Brother's heart. If you are able to let Big Brother remember what happened in the past, that would be great. After Qian Yuqing, who was in a daze, heard what Yi Hua said, she seemed to have seen a trace of hope. That's right, as long as Yi Hua recovers his memories, everything will be fine. I want to go and meet Yi Hua. Chapter 962. Qian Yuqing said firmly, "No matter what, Yi Hua is my man. Even if I die, I have to die in front of him." Yi Juetian nodded his head. Sister-in-law, the news of Big Brother still being alive cannot be leaked. We have to make secret arrangements this time. And I know that, Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. Back then, Yi Hua suddenly disappeared and was said to be dead, but his corpse was not found. The entire matter was suspicious, and he might even have been framed. Therefore, the news of Yi Hua still being alive must not be found out. If some people were to find out, they would definitely do something bad to Yi Hua. At least that was what Qian Yuqing thought. However, Yi Hua just wanted people to do something bad to him. Yi Juetian said in a low voice, "Sister-in-law, I can't accompany you anymore. After all, the 2 of us cannot meet each other at the same time." Alright, where is Yi Hua now? In Kangluo continent, at a place called Wushu Empire, he is the emperor. Hearing Yi Juetian's words, Qian Yuqing laughed lightly. In the past, I felt that Yi Hua doesn't look like a general, and he looks more like an emperor. Just as the 2 of them were preparing, a shadow appeared at the door. Someone is here. Yi Juetian's heart sunk. I definitely can't forcefully move right now, if not I will be discovered. Yuqing, are you there? A unique male voice rang out at the door. Qian Yuqing's expression sunk. Why did Huang Yun suddenly come over? Yi Juetian looked at Qian Yuqing. Right now he did not dare to move, as Huang Yun might very likely sense it. Qian Yuqing let out a breath and said, "I am here, what is the matter?" Yuqing, can I come in? Huang Yun's tone was rather gentle, but compared to his identity, this kind of gentleness was rather low profile. After all, Huang Yun was currently a powerful figure in spiritual city, comparable to Yi Hua. Qian Yuqing hurriedly said, "It's not convenient for me right now. I have something that I want to discuss with you. I will wait for you outside," Huang Yun said with a smile. He was very patient. For so many years, Huang Yun had always spoken to Qian Yuqing with this kind of tone. He was indeed a very persistent man. If another man tried to chase after her for hundreds of years and still failed, wouldn't that man die from anger? After all, Huang Yun's identity was right there. In actuality, Huang Yun was much younger than Qian Yuqing. At the very least, Huang Yun was only born after Yi Hua went missing. In fact, when Royal Cloud was born, a rare phenomenon appeared in the Imperial Palace. Hundreds of birds circled above the Imperial Palace. Just from this alone, Royal Cloud was extraordinary. Back then, there were even people who said that Yi Hua had reincarnated. When I was young in Imperial Cloud, I had always been listening to him. Although I don't know this person called Yi Hua, I hate him. I feel that I am living under someone else's shadow. After that, I inquired about Yi Hua and discovered that this Yi Hua is indeed very strong to the point of being ridiculously strong. Then I definitely can't be weaker than him. Huang Yun's talent was indeed strong enough. At the very least, in terms of cultivation, he was even faster than Yi Hua back then. It was as if he had a cheat code. During one of the banquets, Huang Yun saw Qian Yuqing and immediately took a fancy to her. He was determined to marry her. In the end, he found out that even the woman was that Yi Hua. This made Huang Yun even more furious. Since he was able to surpass others in terms of cultivation, there was no way he would be weak in other aspects. If you can treat others well, then so can I. One couldn't help but say that Huang Yun had been competing with a dead person ever since he was born, and he had never given up. Qian Yuqing knew that if she didn't go out today, she definitely wouldn't leave. She indicated to Yi Juetian to go under the table. Yi Juetian nodded and gave her a careful look. Qian Yuqing was at ease. This Huang Yun was indeed strong, but his heart was still considered good. He wouldn't force others to do things that they weren't willing to do. Qian Yuqing stood up and tidied up her appearance. No matter what, this Huang Yun is a good person. These spirit springs were all given by Huang Yun. If not, where would I go to find spirit springs? Huang Yun also knew that this was for the sake of prolonging Yi Hua's mother's life. If it wasn't for the fact that her heart already belonged to someone, she might have really been touched. Qian Yuqing opened the door and saw Huang Yun standing at the door. Compared to Yi Hua, Huang Yun didn't have that kind of astonishing handsomeness, but he belonged to the standard type of warm man. Especially the smile at the corner of his mouth. There was a bit of dimple, making him look like the big boy next door. Huang Yun was wearing an emperor robe that covered that immature aura, making him look more stable and reserved. Huang Yun had a head full of jet black hair, and on top of his head, there was an exquisite hairpin. In the past, Yi Hua also had a hairstyle like this, and it looked especially charming. However, the two's personalities were evidently different. Yuqing. When Huang Yun saw that the woman he liked had walked out, a happy smile immediately appeared on his face. He didn't even look at the situation inside the house. Qian Yuqing nodded, then closed the door and walked towards the garden outside the house. Yi Juetian, who was inside the house, let out a breath of relief and hurriedly slipped away through the secret passage. In the garden outside, Qian Yuqing was walking slightly at the front, while Huang Yun was following behind her. Although it was just a way of walking, it also represented what Huang Yun was thinking. To be able to let a woman walk in front of him, other than his mother, it would be Qian Yuqing. This was a way of thinking that wanted to protect her, or perhaps, he was willing to let this woman walk in front of him and lead his life. Were you praying just now? Huang Yun asked in a low voice. Of course, he knew what Qian Yuqing did every day. Most of her time was spent praying. Qian Yuqing didn't deny it and nodded slightly. Do you have anything to do today? Huang Yun slightly knitted his brows for a moment, then relaxed and said with a light smile. Minghuang Mountain is very beautiful this season. I want to go and take a look with you. Minghuang Mountain. Qian Yuqing naturally knew that it was very beautiful. After all, she had gone there with Yi Hua before. That day, when she confessed to Yi Hua, that idiot was shocked. Even now, she could still clearly remember that astonished expression on that idiot's face. Don't look at how cold Yi Hua usually appears to be. In actuality, he is just like a big boy, just that he isn't good at expressing himself. In the end, that fellow even pretended to be stupid and actually said, Minghuang Mountain is very beautiful today. I confess to you. And you said that the mountain is beautiful, serves you right to be single for your entire life. Then I got angry and said, if you don't want me, I will marry someone else. After hearing that, Yi Hua's face immediately changed, and he directly said, I won't allow it. When she heard those 3 words, how could she be angry? Her heart felt warm. Then she made a bold move. She faced Yi Hua and slightly raised her head, then closed her eyes. Her heartbeat simply reached an unimaginable speed. That idiot actually asked you what you were doing. Even now, Qian Yuqing still felt that it was funny. I have never seen such an idiot before, which is why she said, when a girl closes her eyes, she wants you to kiss her. Then she became even angrier. Yi Hua said that there are too many people here, it isn't suitable. Chapter 963. The originally romantic atmosphere was ruined by an idiot. That day, she almost fainted from anger. However, she liked Yi Hua's dazed look, it was so cute. Although she didn't get kissed by Yi Hua, she still held on to Yi Hua's hand. But now, that kiss has been delayed for over 1,000 years. Yuqing. Seeing that Qian Yuqing didn't say anything, Huang Yun called out lightly. Following Huang Yun's call, Qian Yuqing's thoughts were pulled back. However, Qian Yuqing, who returned to reality, was at a loss. If she could, she would rather live in a fantasy or a dream. That way, she would be able to be together with Yi Hua every day. These days my body isn't feeling well. Qian Yuqing said lightly. Minghuang Mountain was her and Yi Hua's place. Huang Yun was slightly disappointed. He had never gone out with Qian Yuqing before. He could only walk around the garden like this. Yuqing, take the green origin pot. Huang Yun took out the spirit spring from his robe. This was probably the only thing that could make Qian Yuqing turn back. Qian Yuqing accepted it. Thank you. Yuqing, we are about to get married. There is no need to be so polite. Huang Yun said gently. In his heart, he knew that the reason why Qian Yuqing was willing to marry him was because of the spirit spring. Others didn't know about the deal that the two made in private, but Huang Yun was already preparing for the wedding. If it was in the past, Qian Yuqing would have accepted her fate. But now her hope was burning. But now she rejected again. The spirit spring was broken. Qian Yuqing was a bit hesitant. All right, I have finished. Yuqing, you are not feeling well. Go back to your room. Huang Yun said lightly, seeming to be very considerate. Then, I won't send you out. Qian Yuqing squeezed out a smile. Huang Yun smiled. No need, I have been to your house countless times. This sentence seemed to be saying that you have not been to my house before. Seeing that Qian Yuqing walked into the house, Huang Yun took a deep breath and walked towards the door. Ninth Prince. Huang Yun, who was in the corridor, heard the voice behind him. He turned around and took a look. It was Qian Yuqing's father, Qian Yi. Facing Qian Yuqing's father, Huang Yun was still very respectful. He cupped his hands and shouted, Uncle Qian. Are you here to find Yuqing? Why don't you talk more? Qian Yi looked rather ordinary, but no one knew that this ordinary man was actually a supreme being. However, one could see that one of Qian Yi's ears was missing. Yuqing isn't feeling well today. I won't disturb your rest, Huang Yun said politely, even though he knew it was just an excuse. However, they were all smart people and wouldn't point it out. If some things were exposed, then they wouldn't even be friends anymore. Ninth Prince, Yuqing is a bit slow. Don't rush. Qian Yi naturally hoped that her daughter would be able to marry Huang Yun. That way, Huang Yun would become the noblest woman in the entire Lingdu. One must know that the current Huang Yun was even more loved and respected than the emperor, just like how Yehua was back then. However, the biggest difference between Huang Yun and Yi Hua was that Huang Yun was a member of the royal family, and the emperor would be happy to be loved and respected, but Yihua was not. Huang Yun smiled understandingly. Uncle Qian, I understand. I still need to work harder. Come and have a cup of tea before returning to the palace. Then I'll have to trouble Uncle Qian. After returning to her room, Qian Yuqing opened the secret passage and walked in with the spiritual spring water in her hand. Sister-in-law. Yi Juetian had been waiting respectfully for a long time, and at the side he had prepared some tools to conceal himself. Little Tian, take this. Qian Yuqing passed the spiritual spring water to Yi Juetian. Sister-in-law, why are you here again? I wasn't this diligent in the past. Suddenly, Yi Juetian thought of something. Sister-in-law, it can't be that you have already agreed to it, right? Alright, you don't have to bother about this matter anymore. Cover for me. What else could Yi Juetian do? He could only make arrangements for his sister-in-law. Qian Yuqing could be seen wearing a white conical bamboo hat, and a white veil hung on the conical bamboo hat, completely covering her face. Yi family was rather strict, but when Yi Juetian learned how to go out and play when he was young, he had invented quite a few secret passages. After walking out of the Yi clan, Yi Juetian reminded her one last time, be careful. I'll leave big brother to you, sister-in-law. Little Tian, don't worry, I will bring your big brother back. Thanks for your hard work, sister-in-law. Sister-in-law, take this and go to the room to find a mute person. Yi Juetian could be seen taking out a yellow leaf. Qian Yuqing took the leaf and asked vigilantly, is it safe? And it's definitely safe. The two of them immediately separated. After all, they could not let anyone see them right now. In the god's realm, if one wanted to go down, they would not be able to go down just because they wanted to. They would have to go through registration, and the realm room was the place to register. If one wanted to go to any plane, they would have to pass through here. Qian Yuqing quickly arrived at the realm room. There were a lot of people here. After all, there was only one god's realm, and there were tens of thousands of worlds. That day, Yi Juetian had also accepted a mission here, which was why he went down. Qian Yuqing searched the hall for a long time, but he did not see a single mute. Since he could not find the mute, Qian Yuqing had an idea and held the yellow leaf on his fingertips. If the mute saw it, he would definitely come over. Not long after, a short man walked over to Qian Yuqing's side. He did not say anything, and only tilted his head, indicating for her to follow him. Qian Yuqing was overjoyed, and quickly followed. After a few twists and turns, Mute brought Qian Yuqing to a room. There was a device placed inside. It looked rather simple and crude, as if it was made by himself. Mute looked at Qian Yuqing, as if asking where to go. Qian Yuqing said lightly, Kangluo Continent, Wushu Empire. Mute could be seen inputting something at the side. It should be the coordinates. The device looks very high-end. Qian Yuqing had never been down there before, and she was a bit worried. However, for the sake of seeing Yihua, she had to risk it all. Mute indicated for Qian Yuqing to stand on the device. Qian Yuqing let out a deep breath and walked onto the device. Before Qian Yuqing was ready, Mute pressed on the device. Qian Yuqing's delicate body instantly disappeared from the device. The best way to do this was to not be recorded, and thus, not be detected. This was also to prevent the fact that Yihua was still alive from being exposed. More importantly, this kind of non-official teleportation did not have that kind of extravagance. On top of Wushu Empire's city wall, Lai Gu was currently drinking wine by himself and looking into the distance. Yihua, you have not returned home for almost a month. I miss you so much. This is the longest time that we have been apart. Beside Lai Gu, a cat was also licking the wine, seemingly to be missing someone too. Lai Gu let out a light sigh, then looked at the little cat and asked curiously, Ju Tian, was your name given by his honor, or did you originally have this name? Chapter 964. Ju Tian went into a daze for a moment. Sitting on the table, Ju Tian slowly spoke. His honor gave it to me. Back then, my original body looked exactly like this, and I was taken away by his honor. Absolute Heaven had only been able to speak for the past few days. This meant that Absolute Heaven was recovering very quickly. Most likely, Before Brett returned, Absolute Heaven would be able to return to his human form. This was a good thing for the entire team. They now had another source of combat power. From the looks of it, his honor's amnesia isn't very complete, and it is merely a difference of a single word. Lai Gu mumbled. From the looks of it, Lai Gu's intelligence had also increased after drinking too much. Yeah. Absolute Heaven also felt that one was called Yi Ju Tian, and the other was called Absolute Heaven. If you said that it was a coincidence, he would not believe it. Listen to Wei Chong this morning. His honor chased away his blood brother. Lai Gu sat at the side of the table, poured another cup of wine and said helplessly, "This kind of thing would happen to anyone else. His honor is becoming more and more like a human, and this is all thanks to your wife." Ju Tian was the brains of the team, and there was naturally nothing wrong with what he said. Ju Tian, have you ever thought about what if his honor had a wife in the past? With his honor's personality, I'm afraid that the situation is bad, Ju Tian said gravely. Lai Gu slightly frowned. Are you saying that your wife is in a bad situation? No, it's the past that wasn't good. His honor isn't like you who likes everyone he sees. Ju Tian, don't slander me. Ever since I got Yu Hua, I have been well behaved. Lai Gu snorted, and he was even very tsundere. Hee, it's just that a better one hasn't appeared yet. Absolute Heaven did not forget to strike back. Did this lecherous dragon still not understand? Don't talk about so many useless things. Are you trying to say that his honor doesn't care about his former wife? Lai Gu asked curiously. I won't guarantee this kind of thing, but at the very least, I won't do it in the beginning. To his honor, this is a strange woman. To offend his honor's wife for a strange woman, his honor isn't that stupid. That's true. Unless your previous wife is as beautiful as your wife, his honor will probably consider it. Absolute Heaven revealed a look of disdain. Do you think that everyone is like you? However, just as the two were blowing water, a wave of fluctuation came from behind them. This gave the two of them a fright, and the hair on Ju Tian's body stood up. Lai Gu locked onto his target tightly. The white-armored warriors at the side surrounded this strange aura, forming an encirclement. Puff! A white figure appeared in front of everyone. Everyone was stupefied. It seemed to be a woman. A deity? Absolute Heaven probed as he sensed the aura. This woman who suddenly appeared was, of course, Qian Yuqing. The coordinates of the teleportation were just right, and she directly arrived at the city gate. There was only a slight error, and she ran to the top of the city wall. More importantly, he even ran to the back of Lai Gu and Ju Tian, giving the two of them a fright. Thinking that he was an assassin, the two of them immediately fell behind him. Qian Yuqing saw a cat speak. It wasn't that strange, but it was interesting that a cat could know about gods. However, these people were still very vigilant and surrounded him. Are these all Yihua's subordinates? He seemed to be in high spirits. However, this patrolling officer is still drinking. I have neglected my duty a little. In the future, I have to properly talk to Yihua about this. After all, when Yihua was leading the army in the past, he was rather proper. When it was time to drink, he would drink, and when it wasn't time to drink, he would definitely not drink. May I ask if this place is Void Empire? Qian Yuqing asked gently. Hearing this woman's voice, Lai Gu and Ju Tian took a glance at each other. This woman doesn't seem to be here to cause trouble. Lai Gu waved his hand, and the white-armored soldiers spread out uniformly. This made Qian Yuqing feel that these are the soldiers that Yihua trained. Ju Tian jumped onto the table and asked, This place is Void Empire. What are you, a deity, doing here? After finished speaking, Ju Tian realized that something was amiss. Right after his honor's younger brother left, a woman came here. This can't be. Ju Tian had a scary thought. Hearing that this place was Void Empire, Qian Yuqing's mood became extremely good. With a relaxed tone she said, Can't deities come here? His honor doesn't have a good impression of deities. Then who are you all? Aren't you all afraid of being scolded by his honor for drinking here? Qian Yuqing asked again. Lai Gu stealthily kept the wine pot, then looked towards the other side as if nothing had happened and even whistled. This sneaky action of Lai Gu's caused Qian Yuqing to laugh lightly. Yihua's subordinate is rather interesting. Are you here to look for someone? Zhu Tian asked confusedly, wanting to confirm his thoughts. Qian Yuqing nodded her head, then took off her conical bamboo hat. However, when Qian Yuqing took off her conical bamboo hat and revealed her stunning appearance, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian were both dumbfounded for a moment. Isn't this a little too beautiful already? This woman is actually comparable to his honor's wife. After getting used to looking at his honor's wife's appearance, this woman seems to be even more beautiful. Right now, Zhu Tian was almost certain that this woman was his honor's wife. His younger brother definitely told her about it when he returned, and she immediately came down. Lai Gu was indeed stunned, and he asked curiously, "You are so beautiful. You couldn't have come to Void Empire to look for a man, right?" Zhu Tian slanted his eyes and looked towards Lai Gu. "You dare to take liberties with his honor's wife? I am here to look for my husband," Qian Yuqing said tenderly. There wasn't a bit of deity's tone, on the contrary, she seemed very amiable and approachable. Zhu Tian revealed an expression of as expected. Lai Gu was very puzzled. "You are the husband of a deity. Why would you be in Void Empire? You are definitely a spy. Don't think that just because you look good, I will fall for your tricks." "My husband's name is Yi Hua. Do you two know him?" Qian Yuqing said with a slight smile. Lai Gu. Right now, Lai Gu had a dumbfounded expression on his face. Although Zhu Tian had guessed it, he was still shocked in his heart. As expected of his honor's wife. His honor's wife is here. Something big has happened. His honor, you are finished. This is simply a debt of love from my previous life. You don't think that just because I am drunk, you can lie to me. Lai Gu shook his head. Why is his honor's luck with women so good? He has 3 beautiful wives, and there is even a stunning Daji waiting for him. And now, another one came over on her own accord. How are we subordinates supposed to live? His honor, please give me a way out. I am not lying to you, Yi Hua is really my husband. Qian Yuqing said lightly, then stretched out her tender and delicate hand and lightly caressed the video. A lump of smoke could be seen spreading out, and gradually, an image could be seen. The two looked at the video. This is the wedding ceremony. The long-haired and cold-looking man in the video is his honor. Although his honor's hairstyle changed, his temperament did not change in the slightest. However, Yi Hua, who had long hair, was still very handsome. Chapter 965. His honor could be seen lifting up the red veil, and Qian Yuqing's beautiful face could be seen. She is truly beautiful. His honor's taste is always so unique. It's no wonder that back then, I only met Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Lai Gu feels that back then, the two madams weren't even as beautiful as this Donghuang Baiji. It's only because they were trained by his honor that they became this beautiful. Look at the shy face of the bride. Lai Gu compared for a moment, and found that they were indeed the same person. But is that his honor? If that is his honor, then there is a problem. Qian Yuqing waved her hand. Do you believe me now? Lai Gu gulped down a mouthful of saliva. And absolute heaven didn't say anything either. After quite a while, Lai Gu said in a low voice, This mysterious woman. I have been following his boss for over 1,000 years, but I have never heard of you before. Lai Gu almost shouted out his honor. After all, in front of a stranger, it was still not possible for him to say it out. I got to know Yi Hua more than 2,000 years ago. However, he went missing later on. Today, Yi Hua's younger brother told me about this. You guys should know about this, right? Since Qian Yuqing had already said it like this, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian had no choice but to believe her. However, they were still conflicted from the bottom of their hearts. After all, the appearance of this woman was equivalent to disturbing his honor's family relationship. One must know that in the past, his honor had a family disturbance, and his honor had to rely on a group of actors to muddle through. But now, this is a marriage, and his honor has never done this with your wife before. In that case, this was the first wife, and the current one was the second wife. Oh my God, about that, beautiful lady, it isn't convenient for our boss today. Why don't we come again another day? Lai Gu muttered. Zhu Tian did not say anything and expressed his approval. Qian Yuqing's expression became a little downcast. She said softly, Then I'll go by myself. I don't need to bother you. Zhu Tian didn't dare to be careless. If I were to be promoted by his honor in the future, wouldn't I be making things difficult for myself? Humans were all like that, vengeful. It really isn't convenient for boss to see you right now. He still hasn't mentally prepared himself, Absolute Heaven explained. Qian Yuqing bit her lips and said firmly, the reason I came here this time is to see Yi Hua. Hearing Qian Yuqing's resolute words, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian didn't know what to say as they looked at each other. Lai Gu hurriedly reported, Your Honor, something big happened. Right now, Yi Hua was currently resting with his eyes closed. Daji was standing behind him and massaging him, while Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were currently playing the zither for Yi Hua. However, Lai Gu's voice transmission appeared in Yi Hua's mind. Don't tell me everything is a big deal. Didn't I teach you? Your Honor, this is truly a huge matter. The number 1 madam is here. What number 1 madam? What are you talking about? Believe it or not, I will stew you. It's true. Your Honor's ex-wife has arrived, and she is currently heading towards the Imperial Palace. Zhu Tian and I are following behind her. Yi Hua was startled, and even Daji, who was behind him, was startled. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji stopped playing, and when they saw Yi Hua, they seemed to be a bit panicked. Stop them, Yi Hua said gravely. Ah, don't you understand human language? Stop him for me. Don't let her enter the palace. Yes. Lai Gu had no other choice. Of course, I have to listen to his honor. After cutting off the connection with Lai Gu, Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. My little brother just left in the morning, and this inexplicable wife of mine came in the afternoon. I am very satisfied with my current life. I don't need anything else. Yi Hua, what's wrong? Qingye asked concernedly. Yi Hua tightly wrinkled his brows, seemingly thinking whether or not I should tell them about this matter. Looking at Yi Hua's wrinkled brows, Donghuang Baiji knew that it was a huge matter. If it wasn't a huge matter, Yi Hua wouldn't frown. What's wrong? Donghuang Baiji asked tenderly. Yi Hua let out a breath. This matter is something that I will know about sooner or later, so I might as well tell them about it directly. The woman that my little brother was talking about is here. Following what Yi Hua said, both Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were startled, and they didn't know what to say. This is too fast, right? However, thinking about it, if other people knew that Yi Hua didn't die, they would definitely rush over immediately. However, the problem right now was, what kind of attitude would Yi Hua have? This was what Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were worried about. Is he going to continue the relationship, or is he going to have other thoughts? Looking at the bad side, he is going to continue the relationship. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji weren't saintesses, so how could they possibly accept other women? Qing Yutong was an exception. After all, they were already familiar with each other. However, this newcomer doesn't know anything, and for some reason, she came to snatch away a man. Although Yi Hua had lost his memories in the past, in short, his heart still didn't feel good. Yi Hua, what do you plan to do? Qingye asked in a low voice. Chase her away, Yi Hua said coldly. Sometimes a little bit of determination is required. Chase her away? Qingye and Donghuang Baiji didn't dare to believe this. This seems to be a bit too ruthless, right? Women are just so complicated. On one hand, they are jealous, on the other hand, they are pitiful, and on the other hand, they are blaming Yi Hua for being too ruthless. This kind of matter should be sat down and properly discussed. After all, Lai Gu and Zhu Tian had received a serious mission, and that mission was to stop this former wife of yours. On the streets of Wushu Empire, everyone was looking at Qian Yuqing, and all of them were completely captivated by Qian Yuqing's appearance. As Qian Yuqing walked past, everyone's head moved from left to right, as if they were bewitched by Qian Yuqing's beauty. Wait a minute. Lai Gu hurriedly chased after Qian Yuqing. Zhu Tian, who was standing on top of Lai Gu's head, had a complicated look in his eyes. Qian Yuqing stopped her footsteps and asked curiously, "What's wrong?" "You can't go." Lai Gu opened up his arms. "Why?" Qian Yuqing slightly frowned and asked. Because. Lai Gu didn't know what to say. However, Zhu Tian said gravely, "Because his honor doesn't want to see you, and he told us to stop you. Go back." The joy on Qian Yuqing's beautiful face gradually disappeared, and what replaced it was graveness. Yihua said that. Lai Gu nodded his head. Then let him talk to me. Qian Yuqing's tone gradually became agitated. She felt just like a woman who was abandoned by a man, and her tone carried a bit of hidden bitterness. It was normal for Qian Yuqing to have such a reaction. After all, she had liked Yihua since she was young, and she had liked him for thousands of years. Right now, telling her that the man who had pledged his undying love to her in the past wanted to chase her away, and if she still didn't get angry, then she would really be a saintess. Zhu Tian explained, "This former wife, please be a bit more rational, don't be impulsive. Move aside." Right now, Qian Yuqing was no longer able to maintain her calm. "Right now, I just want to see Yihua and ask him face to face. Do you still want Yuqing or not? Are the words that you said in the past still counted?" Lai Gu stood there without moving. His meaning was a bit obvious. He is not letting you go. End of this chapter. Chapter 966. The people who were standing in the surroundings also noticed the abnormality. Everyone naturally knew about Lai Gu. After all, he was a man who loitered around the city wall every day. However, he actually got into a dispute with this woman. Just what is going on? Furthermore, from the looks of it, Lai Gu seems to be in a very difficult position. On the other hand, that woman had the upper hand. How strange. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. Then try and touch me. Qian Yuqing was not an ordinary woman. Back then, not only was she the most beautiful woman in Spirit City, her talent was also not inferior to Yihua's. It was just that she did not display it. If she were to display it, she would not be inferior to Yihua. However, ever since Yihua went missing, Qian Yuqing had stopped cultivating. Even so, she was still an overlord. After finished speaking, Qian Yuqing left. Lai Gu didn't expect that this former madam would be so unyielding, but he was also afraid of bumping into this former madam. After all, this former madam is his honor's woman, and I mustn't touch her. Qian Yuqing walked forward, while Lai Gu retreated. Qian Yuqing's expression was very strange, as if he had eaten a fly. Madam, please calm down. I'm not the ex-wife. Qian Yuqing shouted out. When did I become an ex-madam? If I want to become an ex-madam, Yihua has to come out and say it himself. When the surrounding people heard this conversation, their gossipy hearts were ignited, and they all eavesdropped on them. This could be the secret history of the emperor. Love debts. It was very possible. Absolute Heaven hurriedly called Luoho over, taking control of the situation. Soon, groups of yellow-armored warriors began to lock down the area. However, the news of his honor's ex-girlfriend coming to stir up trouble was immediately known by all of his honor's subordinates, and all of them were shocked. His honor's ex-girlfriend. Oh my God, let's hurry up and see who this deity is. Former madam, please don't leave anymore. If not, I won't be polite anymore. Lai Gu began to threaten. This former madam seems to have the intention of slaughtering her way into the imperial palace. Qian Yuqing ignored him and said in a low voice, You can try. Damn, his honor's ex-wife is so fierce. Lai Gu was just saying it with his mouth, and of course he didn't dare to use his full strength. If he were to break the crystal, what would he do if his honor were to blame him? Very quickly, Qian Yuqing arrived at the entrance of the imperial palace. Looking at the majestic imperial palace, Qian Yuqing knew that Yihua was inside. But now, he wasn't even willing to come out and see her. Yihua, you weren't this cruel in the past. Lai Gu suddenly discovered that there seems to be a bit more guards standing at the entrance of the imperial palace. Damn, isn't that black-armored warrior Wei Chong? And that green and red brothers, and that husky. Are you serious about wearing that black armor? Since when did a dog wear black armor? Even his 3 wives have run out. You guys really don't want things to get out of hand. However, when his honor's subordinates saw Qian Yuqing, their gazes revealed a look of amazement. Even those women were the same as well. This appearance, as expected of his honor's ex-girlfriend, Qian Yuqing can be said to be well-deserved. But his ex-girlfriend's expression didn't seem right. She was obviously here to cause trouble. Would the 2 madams be able to subdue them? Former madam, You really cannot leave anymore. Lai Gu said gravely. Qian Yuqing looked at the exquisite palace and said slowly, I want to see him. In the past, Qian Yuqing would always call Yi Hua as Yi Hua, but right now, Qian Yuqing directly called Yi Hua as Yi Hua. It could be seen how angry he was. Lai Gu quickly asked His Honor, Your Honor, your ex-girlfriend has already arrived at the entrance of the imperial palace. What should we do? It seems like she is going to make a move on us. Make a move? Yi Hua asked puzzledly. Is this woman so fierce? Yes, Your Honor. Yi Hua said gravely. Just chase her away. Lai Gu understood. His Honor won't let her get injured, but I still have to chase her away. This is troublesome. How can I chase her away without getting injured? Should I just tie her up and bring her back? Qian Yuqing seemed to know that Lai Gu was transmitting his voice to Yi Hua and asked, What did your boss say? You better go back. Lai Gu said in a low voice. When Qian Yuqing heard what Lai Gu said, she found it hard to believe. I didn't expect that Yi Hua would still be so ruthless. No wonder little Tian said that Yi Hua had changed. But I'm really angry. So angry. Why can't you let me see you? Can't you even talk to me? Don't you know that your mother can't hold on anymore? Don't you know? Do I have to marry a person that I don't like just for your mother? Could it be that you don't care about all of these? Qian Yuqing, who was getting angrier the more she thought about it, began emitting out a strong duqi. The white muslin clothes on her body fluttered even though there was no wind, and her pretty face was terrifyingly gloomy. Boom. The aura of an overlord was emitted out, and a white duqi rushed into the sky from Qian Yuqing's body. Everyone in Wushu Empire was able to see it. Even Yi Hua, who was sitting in the imperial palace, was able to see it. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were a bit absent-minded. This woman seems to be very crazy. At this moment, Qingye said in a low voice, Yi Hua, let's go and take a look. Yi Hua closed his eyes and did not say anything. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji didn't dare to persuade Yi Hua anymore. Right now, Yi Hua was already on the verge of getting angry. However, at the entrance of the imperial palace, the subordinates didn't dare to believe what they were seeing. This ex-girlfriend of His Honor really likes to fight whenever she doesn't get along with him. However, if any woman were to encounter such a thing, they would have such a reaction. If the other party didn't have such a reaction, then it wouldn't be true love. After the white duqi disappeared, the white muslin clothes on Qian Yuqing's body could be seen to have disappeared, and what replaced it was actually a set of silver armor. Furthermore, it was the kind that was wearing a helmet. Only her pitch-black hair was left floating in the air, and she looked very fierce. The armor was emitting out a faint silver radiance, and the subordinates felt that the armor was an ancient artifact. Furthermore, the armor was not an ordinary ancient artifact. After all, Qian Yuqing was the pearl of Qian family. What kind of good things could she not have? It could be said that the degree of awesomeness of this Danxia armor was not inferior to that set of armor that Yi Zizi was wearing. One must know that all of Yi Hua's equipment were stolen from others, and there were good and bad ones. Furthermore, the imperial killer that Qian Yuqing was holding in her hand was not an ordinary ancient artifact. It was a machete. Indeed, the machete looked like a machete. Being held in Qian Yuqing's hand, the machete did not seem to fit her temperament. However, this imperial killer was not an ancient artifact with an undeserved reputation. From its name alone, it could be seen that this machete was even capable of killing an emperor. Doesn't this mean that Qian Yuqing is prepared to kill an emperor? Could it be that she is going to perish together with Yi Hua, this heartless man? At the very least, from the subordinate's point of view, His Honor's ex-girlfriend was starting to get serious. Wei Chong hurriedly protected the surroundings. If Ji Zun were to fight with His Honor, I reckon that the entire Wushu Empire would have to pay their respects to her. Move aside. Qian Yuqing, who was fully armed, shouted out. The loud sound caused cracks to appear on the ground, and the cracks spread all the way to the walls. The cracks were just like Qian Yuqing's heart. Chapter 967. Right now Lai Gu's eyes shone. I definitely cannot afford to offend His Honor's former wife, but who asked them to wear black armored warriors' clothes? Therefore Lai Gu shouted out angrily, Men, stop her for me. Lai Gu was also proud of himself. I didn't expect that there would be a day where I would be so smart. However, after waiting for a long time, Lai Gu still did not see anyone coming out. When he turned around, he found that those people were actually standing there without moving. He was so angry that he almost fainted. Were they just watching the show and not doing anything? Wei Chong wouldn't interfere. If he didn't do a good job, he would be scolded. Absolute Heaven, who was on top of the cracked bone, jumped away as well. He hid far away and watched from afar, not wanting to participate in the battle. Who knows if his honor was just saying those words out of anger or not? If we were to reconcile with each other in the future, if his honor continues to pursue the matter, I will definitely be scolded by his honor again. Right now, Lai Gu actually wanted to cry. Why am I always the one who gets injured? Last time, I indeed wanted to act cool, but this time, it's not like that. It's her who suddenly appeared in front of me. If I had known earlier, I would have pretended not to see it. Do you want me to fight with my ex-wife now? I will say it one more time, move aside. Qian Yuqing raised the Emperor Killer in her hand and pointed it at Lai Gu. Lai Gu took a deep breath and took a defensive stance. Sorry. As subordinates, we have no choice. 2 streams of tears flowed down from Qian Yuqing's eyes as she shouted, Yi Hua, why are you so cruel to me? Boom. The Imperial Slayer released an enormous pressure. The blade shone with a golden light as Qian Yuqing, who had already gone berserk, stomped on the ground. A huge crater immediately appeared on the ground as Emperor Killer slashed towards Lai Gu. Before the blade even arrived, Lai Gu could already feel a sense of crisis. My former wife is really very strong. Even without his honor's help, she was still able to reach such a level of strength. I truly admire her. However, I, Lai Gu, am not someone to be trifled with. When I get angry, I won't even recognize my own family. Please don't look down on me, Lai Gu. I know how to crack bones too. The man who ran. Lai Gu could be seen turning around and running towards that group of shameless black-armored warriors. Wei Chong and the others were all shouting at how shameless Lai Gu was. It was clearly you who had caused this trouble, and yet, you are actually not caring about it anymore. Boom. The entire ground had collapsed. Fortunately, Wei Chong had sealed off this area. Otherwise, this blade would have affected the entire Voidless Empire. Even so, the entire Voidless Empire still trembled slightly. After all, the equipment on Qian Yuqing's body was no joke. Yi Hua looked at the teacup on the table. The teacup was currently moving slightly, and the water within the teacup was also trembling. At the very least, that was what Yi Hua thought. However, I, the Supreme Overlord, am not a man that you can meet whenever you want to. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were no longer able to sit still. Not caring whether Yi Hua agreed or not, they immediately disappeared from the scene. Yi Hua did not stop the 2 women, and once again he picked up the teacup and took a sip. Qian Yuqing stood where she was. Her aura didn't drop. Instead, it continued to rise as if she was using a cheat. This caused all of his honor's subordinates to be astonished. His honor's ex-girlfriend is not an ordinary person. With this kind of strength, I'm afraid that her strength is already comparable to that of the 7 deadly sins. I'll say it again. Out of the way. Qian Yuqing pointed at her subordinates and shouted angrily. Originally, I thought that Yi Hua would be very happy to know that I am here, and I will also properly help Yi Hua recover his memories. As for your current wife, that is something that happened after she lost her memories. She can forgive you, and I won't blame you. However, that was not the case at all. At this time, Wei Chong had no choice but to stand up. He cupped his hands and said, Former madam, please calm down. I can't breathe. Qian Yuqing suddenly raised Emperor Killer up high. The dark clouds in the sky above Wushu Empire gradually dispersed, and sunlight shone down. However, this sunlight didn't shine on the ground. Instead, it shone on the Imperial Slayer in Qian Yuqing's hand. Since he would rather hide inside, then don't blame me. Qian Yuqing shouted in a deep voice. The murderous emperor in her hand had already ignited with a golden flame. The brightness made people's eyes very uncomfortable. Sealing God extinguishing sun. Following Qian Yuqing's whisper, the Emperor Slayer in her hand turned into a 10,000 zhang long machete. F*CK, not to mention becoming a god. Even a god would be scared **+. At the very least, this was the first time his subordinates had seen a primeval divine artifact grow to such a huge size. If this saber fell, the entire imperial palace would be destroyed. Wei Chang even sensed that when the regicide grew in size, it had pierced through the barrier he had set up. It had indeed been pierced. Everyone from Wushu Empire saw the 10,000 zhang long machete, and all of them became stupefied. The blade of the machete had even pierced through the clouds. Even Yi Hua saw it, and with a slightly shocked expression on his face, he thought to himself, "This woman is truly formidable. However, she actually wants to kill me. She is truly thinking too much." Just as Qian Yuqing was about to descend the machete, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji suddenly appeared at the scene. This caused Qian Yuqing's machete to stop. However, the machete had also descended in an arc, and this caused the sky to gradually turn red. It was as if the sky was being burned by fire. When the subordinates saw that the two madams had arrived, they hurriedly knelt down and shouted out, "Subordinates, greet the two madams." Qian Yuqing looked at Qingye and Donghuang Baiji blankly. Are they Yi Hua's wives? These two women are so beautiful. No wonder Yi Hua doesn't want me anymore. It turns out that he found such beautiful women. Yi Hua, why are you treating Yuqing like this? For you, Yuqing is willing to give up everything, but why are you not even talking to Yuqing? Even now, you are still hiding at the back and not coming out. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji looked at Qian Yuqing. Because Qian Yuqing was wearing a helmet, they were unable to see her appearance. You all can retreat first. Qingye said faintly. Wei Chang, Lai Gu and the others let out a sigh of relief. It is best for this matter to be taken over by your wife. Subordinate obeys. Lai Gu immediately ran away. In the future, I will not stand out anymore. Do Fusher felt that it was still alright, but his big brother Lai Gu has recently become fond of standing out. After the subordinates left, only the three women remained at the scene. Yi Hua is very confused right now, Qingye said lightly. Hearing what Qingye said, the anger in Qian Yuqing's heart lessened by a lot. However, Qian Yuqing was still holding the Emperor Killer in her hand. Give him some time, he will think it through. Donghuang Baiji said. This woman is actually very pitiful. Donghuang Baiji experienced this kind of feeling. Back then, Yi Hua also treated me like this. Back then, when I came to look for Yi Hua while pregnant with a child, Yi Hua avoided me. Just how much pain did that make me feel? And this woman in front of me is also the same. Yi Hua is still hiding in the palace and not coming out. He is very heartless. Seeing that Qian Yuqing still hasn't let go of Emperor Killer, Donghuang Baiji said lightly, I understand your feelings very well. You don't understand. Qian Yuqing shouted out. Donghuang Baiji shook her head. Back then I was the same as you. I was also treated like this by Yi Hua. Back then, I was even pregnant with a child. Hearing what Donghuang Baiji said, Qian Yuqing went into a daze for a moment, and her aura became chaotic. Qingye, who was at the side, didn't interrupt. This woman's experience is indeed quite similar to Donghuang Baiji's. Chapter 968. You two have a child. Qian Yuqing's tone was filled with desolation. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji did not deny it and nodded their heads. Qian Yuqing immediately felt a sense of powerlessness and took a step back. Don't look at how it was just a small step. She immediately received a backlash. Blood could be seen flowing out from the gap of the helmet, and Qian Yuqing's aura became extremely weak. The towering murderous emperor returned to its original size. Qian Yuqing felt that her brain was buzzing. Yi Hua and I have a child. Thinking about it, isn't it normal for them to have a child after 1,000 years have passed? But, Yi Hua, you treat them so well. Why are you so heartless to me? Qian Yuqing, who was angered, spat out another mouthful of blood, and the armor and imperial killer that she was wearing disappeared. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji saw Qian Yuqing's original appearance. Yi Hua's eyesight is always so high, but right now this beautiful woman's face was filled with desolation. She looked very pitiful, as if she was abandoned by Yi Hua. Qingye had always been doted on by Yi Hua, so she did not experience that kind of feeling. However, Dong Huang Baiji was able to experience that kind of feeling. For our words to be able to give her such a huge blow, it could be seen how important Yi Hua was in her heart. Dong Huang Baiji felt that she was already very angry when she waited for Yi Hua for 3 years. But this woman actually waited for Yi Hua for 1,000 years. Just how much willpower does that require? Not every woman can be like her. Although the subordinates left, they were still peeking at the side. They realized that His Honor's ex-girlfriend was indeed pitiful. Look at that pitiful look. Her originally beautiful face became pale and powerless, and blood flowed out from her lips. His Honor is too ruthless, isn't he? No matter what, she is still his ex-girlfriend. It is only a big matter for him to come out and take a look. Qingye said softly. Go and treat your injuries first. No need, call Yi Hua out. Qian Yuqing slightly bent her body. Her entire body was in pain. Dong Huang Baiji said softly. Yi Hua still hasn't made up his mind. How about going and taking a rest first? I will wait here for him to think it through. Qian Yuqing raised her head slightly and looked at the palace. There was no joy in her eyes. She was a little disheartened. Dong Huang Baiji consoled Dong Huang Baiji. There are indeed some areas where Yi Hua did not do well. I have also said it just now. When I went to look for Yi Hua while pregnant with the child, he did not even take a single look at me, causing me to return home disheartened. During those few years, I had been raising the child by myself, and Yi Hua had never cared about us. That's right. Give Yi Hua some time. This matter is too sudden for Yi Hua. Qingye felt that Qian Yuqing's current state was not very good, just like a person who should have fainted, but was forcefully holding on to that belief. Qian Yuqing didn't say anything. She stood in place and slowly straightened her back. The blood at the corner of her mouth flowed onto her pure white dress. It was very eye-catching. No one expected this woman to be so stubborn. He was a little worried. After all, he had just suffered a backlash and needed time to recuperate. Otherwise, it would be detrimental to his future cultivation. Wait a moment then. Qingye said lightly. Qingye decided to go and persuade Yi Hua again. Will it kill you to meet someone else? Dong Huang Baiji felt the same way as well. Both of them are women with bitter lives, and Yi Hua should at least give them an explanation. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji disappeared from where they were once again. However, the yellow armored warrior sealed off all of the surrounding streets. After all, this was His Honor's family matter, and no one else could know about it. Yi Hua was still drinking tea, just that there were a lot more cigarette butts by his feet. Very quickly, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji's figures appeared. Without waiting for the two women to speak, Yi Hua said faintly, What are we going to eat tonight? Ask the blood demon to make a braised eggplant pot. I felt that it was pretty good the last time I ate it. Yi Hua, don't talk about what we are going to eat first. Do you really not want to go and take a look that much? Qingye asked in a low voice. This was not Yi Hua's style. Yi Hua said faintly, Didn't the two of you go and take a look for me? I have already said what happened in the past very clearly. I don't want to repeat it again. Daji, let's go and eat. Yi Hua stood up and said faintly. Daji said respectfully, All right, master. Looking at Yi Hua's determined back view, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji felt a little sad. Although I don't want others to interfere in my marriage, Yi Hua is too ruthless towards that woman. No matter what, taking a look at her isn't a big deal. Dong Huang Baiji recalled what happened in the past, and even now, she is still a little jealous. Yi Hua is too ruthless towards me. Qingye is still the best. I am doted on from the beginning to the end. However, what should I do now? That person is still standing at the entrance of the palace, waiting for me. Am I supposed to continue waiting like this? After all, Wushu Empire's weather isn't very good, and it is a bit cold. Qian Yuqing had just suffered from a backlash, and her body was wearing very thin clothes. Without the protection of Duqi, she would definitely be corroded. She would definitely be sick, but when the time comes, it would be even more troublesome for her to recover. What should I do? Dong Huang Baiji couldn't make up her mind. I will go and take some medicine and send it over first. Don't let anything happen. Qingye said gravely. and I will go and persuade Yihua again. All right. Qingye took the medicine and went out, but Qian Yuqing didn't need it at all. She just stood there and looked at the entrance of the palace. However, she also wanted Qingye to pass on a message to Yihua. She, Qian Yuqing, will be Yihua's woman in this life. And if Yihua doesn't want her anymore, then let her directly fall into her next life. Her meaning was very clear. Since Yihua doesn't want her anymore, then I will kill him. If that's the case, I, Qian Yuqing, will not have a single trace of hope, and I will treat everything that happened in the past as a dream. Qingye felt that this matter was a bit thorny. One must know that Yihua hates being threatened the most, and this will only deepen the conflict between them. Qingye didn't dare to tell Yihua what she said, because she was afraid that Yihua would really kill her. Late at night, the temperature of Wushu Empire dropped, and the cold wind howled outside. At the entrance of the palace, a lonely and destitute figure stood at the entrance of the palace. That slim figure seemed so weak and frail. Yihua's subordinates couldn't bear to watch this anymore. Especially the women, they felt that his honor was too ruthless this time. We have to do something, Sun Fang said in a low voice. Tang Wei, Zishan, and Li Hun could be seen standing beside Yihua. Hearing what Sun Fang said, the other three women let out a light sigh. Isn't it all up to his honor to decide what to do? How about we go and beg his honor? Tang Wei suggested. Zishan shook her head. It was useless even when your wife begged for leniency. Do you think that it would be useful for us to beg for leniency? At this moment, Li Hun's expression became grave. His honor doesn't like this kind of threat. It is better for us to think of other ways. I feel that his honor's ex-girlfriend won't be able to hold on for more than a few days. She is getting weaker and weaker. Zishan said gravely. Qian Yuqing indeed wouldn't be able to hold on for more than a few days. And it was already a miracle that she was still able to stand after suffering such a backlash. Chapter 969. But right now, it was no different from burning her lifespan. But to Qian Yuqing, she had to hear Yihua's explanation. If she couldn't hear it, she would rather die here. Just like what she said to Yihua, if Qian Yuqing were to die one day, she wanted to die in his arms. Even if she died, it would be a very comfortable thing. Qian Yuqing could still remember what Yihua said. I won't allow you to die. Right now, Yihua was enjoying a sumptuous dinner. Blood Demon's culinary skills were top-notch. Right now, Yihua felt that in the entire team, Blood Demon's contribution was rather admirable. At the very least, he took good care of my taste buds. Daji stood at the side and served Yihua. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were eating carelessly, and worry could be seen on their faces. Yihua acted as if nothing had happened and continued eating. Right now, Donghuang Baiji couldn't take it anymore and asked, Yihua, do you remember that time when I went to look for you, you avoided me? And I remember. Yihua said faintly. Then do you know how I felt back then? Donghuang Baiji asked back. Yihua said faintly while eating potato shreds. Isn't that all in the past? Our current life is quite good. But Qian Yuqing has been waiting for you for a long time too. Bang. Yihua's expression turned cold. He slammed the table, and the table instantly shattered into pieces. Daji, who was standing behind Yihua, was startled. Master's temper is way too big, right? This is the first time I saw Master get so angry. Not only Daji, even Qingye and Donghuang Baiji felt the same. In the past, when Yihua got angry, he would at most just talk to them and then ignore them. After a few days, he would come back to coax them. But today, he actually smashed the table into pieces. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were truly frightened and sat on the chair blankly. The atmosphere became heavy. Yihua stood up and said coldly, Don't mention the past in the future. The two of you better remember this clearly. After finished speaking, Yihua walked out. Daji looked at the two madams, and her eyes turned red. However, she had no choice but to quickly chase after Yihua. How could Qingye and Donghuang Baiji not feel wronged? We were clearly thinking for you wholeheartedly, but in the end, you didn't appreciate it and even scared us. We are your wives, not your punching bags. Yihua didn't return to his bedroom, and instead he went to Wei Chang's palace. Your Honor. When Wei Chang saw that his honor had come up with a black face, He knew that things weren't going as he wished, and hurriedly kneeled down and kowtowed. It was the same for Tang Wei. "Drink some," Yi Hua said faintly, then walked to the pavilion at the side. Wei Chang looked at Tang Wei and said in a low voice, "Go get some wine and stir-fry a few side dishes. Please don't beg for mercy." "And I know," Tang Wei said cautiously and hurriedly went to prepare. Wei Chang walked into the pavilion with his body bent, and stood beside Yi Hua without saying a word. "Take a seat." "Thank you, Your Honor," Wei Chang said respectfully as he sat on the left side of Yi Hua. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then slowly puffed out the smoke. "Wei Chang, how long have we known each other?" Yi Hua asked indifferently. Wei Chang went into a daze for a moment, then said in a low voice, "Your Honor, we have known each other for 1,011 years. "That's right, it has already been more than 1,000 years. Time sure passes quickly. Do you remember how we got to know each other back then?" Yi Hua sighed and said slowly. "How could Wei Chang possibly forget about that?" He replied, "Back then, I was massacring my own clansmen, and it was Your Honor who appeared and defeated me. Do you know why I wanted to beat you up?" Subordinate does not know. "Because I like your vicious methods," Yi Hua said coldly, and a vicious aura was emitting out from his entire body. Wei Chang didn't say anything and chose to listen quietly. At this moment, Tang Wei walked over with the wine and said respectfully, "Your Honor, I will go and stir-fry a few side dishes." "No need, bring some peanuts over," Yi Hua said indifferently. "Yes." Very quickly, Tang Wei brought some peanuts over. "Daji, you go and rest." Daji, who was standing at the side, went into a daze for a moment, then responded and left. Only Yi Hua and Wei Chang were left at the scene. Yi Hua poured a cup of wine for himself, then picked up the wine pot and poured a cup of wine for Wei Chang. Wei Chang held onto the wine cup with both of his hands in fear. "For his honor to personally pour wine for me. This is a great honor." Yi Hua raised the wine cup, and Wei Chang lightly clinked the wine cup with both of his hands. Yi Hua gulped down the wine cup, and Wei Chang did the same as well. "Do you like your previous life or your current life?" Yi Hua looked at the full moon in the sky. "The moon is very bright, yet I feel a little confused. I'm even starting to doubt if what I've done all these years is right or wrong, and if I have been too benevolent toward my enemies. I feel that I don't even care about my hatred anymore. I have always been playing around, and I have never treated my life seriously. I'm even playing around with my empire." Wei Chang slightly wrinkled his brows. "His Honor is asking me a question again. I have to answer carefully. It is fortunate that I drew the main points back then. I knew that it would be a test. Your Honor, my previous life has the taste of my previous life, and my current life has the happiness of my current life. If subordinate was to choose, the life in my previous life was for the sake of massacring, and the life in my current life is for the sake of love." "Love," Yi Hua murmured. Wei Chang nodded his head. "In the past, we didn't understand why those people would sacrifice themselves for each other. Back then, we all felt that those people were all idiots, but only after understanding them would we know that those people are willing to sacrifice themselves for each other. This is a kind of feeling that we are unable to obtain, but right now, we all have this kind of feeling." After hearing that, Yi Hua laughed lightly. "Perhaps I shouldn't have let you all experience it, and I don't need to experience it either. Sometimes love can be a burden, and also a weakness. However, if there is no love in life, life would be incomplete." Wei Chang said lightly. Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette butt, then lit up another cigarette. "Wei Chang, when you kill your own kind, how do you feel? Is Your Honor talking about the feeling back then, or the feeling right now? Tell me about both." "Back then, I didn't feel anything, but right now, I feel a bit uncomfortable in my heart," Wei Chang said lightly. The reason why he killed his own kind was actually very simple. Wei Chang wanted to become unique. "What do you think about kinship?" Wei Chang's heart sunk. This should be the most crucial question tonight. Wei Chang didn't dare to be careless. "Whether or not I am able to persuade His Honor will depend on me. Humans often say that among all virtues, filial piety is the most important. From this, it can be seen how much humans value kinship. From the past, when we kill the young, the old would come. And when we kill the old, an even older one would come. Even though we know that we are sending ourselves to death, we still came. This is kinship, right? How could Yihua not remember? It wasn't like something like this hadn't happened before back then. He could still remember it even now. Wei Chang, what do you think I should do now? Yihua, who was at a loss, asked lightly. Chapter 970. Wei Chang immediately bowed down and said fearfully, Your Honor, subordinate doesn't dare to teach Your Honor what to do, but Your Honor can do something based on your own inner heart. Inner heart? If I knew, I wouldn't have come here. Yihua laughed lightly, but more of it seemed like he was laughing at himself. Wei Chang's eyes suddenly lit up. Your Honor, subordinate has an idea that can solve Your Honor's problem. Say it. All right, subordinate hopes that Your Honor can answer me immediately. Wei Chang said respectfully. All right, I promise you. Wei Chang paused for a moment, then asked, Does Your Honor love Your Honor's wife? Yes. Yihua said without stopping. Does Your Honor love Young Honor and the others? Wei Chang's tone gradually became faster. Yes. Does Your Honor want to take revenge? Yes. Does Your Honor want to go and see your family? Yes. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. Wei Chang looked at His Honor and discovered that His Honor's expression had become distorted. The cigarette that was on the tip of Wei Chang's finger broke. Subordinate knows his mistake. Wei Chang hurriedly bowed down and admitted his mistake. Yihua slowly closed his eyes, stood up, and walked out of the pavilion without saying anything. Wei Chang looked at His Honor's back view. This is the first time I saw His Honor being so confused, losing his own opinion, losing courage at this moment. Tang Wei quickly ran over and helped Wei Chang up. Uncle Wei, how is it? Tang Wei asked worriedly. Wei Chang shook his head. I don't know. Tang Wei lightly bit onto her lips. After walking out of Wei Chang's palace, Yihua walked into the palace. I actually wanted to go, but why did I want to go? To find out the truth of the matter? Or to see what his birth mother looks like? Are all these important? Are all these very important to me? Yihua's heart returned to normal. Very important. Unknowingly, Yihua arrived at the entrance of the palace. The two huge doors were closed. The black-armored warrior who was standing guard inside immediately bowed down and kowtowed. Yihua stood behind the door, and the huge door in front of him became blurry and soon became transparent. Qian Yuqing's figure appeared in front of Yihua. When Yihua saw the stubborn expression on this woman's face, Yihua's gaze became heavy. She was indeed very beautiful, but right now, her beauty had a sickly look to it, and there was still a trace of bloodstain at the corner of her mouth. She looked at the palace with a glimmer of hope, as if she was looking forward to something. Suddenly, Yihua noticed that the other party's gaze was gradually moving downwards. They were separated by two giant doors, but their eyes met. This glance caused Yihua's heart to skip a beat, and Yihua moved his gaze away reflexively. Such an action caused Yihua to be a bit puzzled. Why would I have such a thought? Guilt. How could I, the Supreme Overlord, possibly have feelings of guilt? Why should I feel guilty towards the things that I, the Supreme Overlord, have done? At this moment, goose feather-like snowflakes suddenly floated down from the sky. Qian Yuqing looked at the two giant doors. In that instant, a familiar feeling surged into her heart. Yihua, is that you? Qian Yuqing asked with a trembling voice. However, her voice was so weak that only she could hear it. However, to Yihua, how could he not hear it? This voice indeed gave me a familiar feeling, as if it was guiding me to find the way back home. Yihua didn't say anything and looked at Qian Yuqing, who was outside. Qian Yuqing took a step forward, and blood immediately flowed out from the corner of her mouth. Her body suddenly fell onto the ground. Seeing that Qian Yuqing fell onto the ground, Yihua's finger trembled a bit. It seemed like he wanted to help this woman up, but in the end he didn't do so. It would have been fine if Qian Yuqing didn't move, but that move just now had instantly caused the injuries within her body to become chaotic. However, Qian Yuqing didn't care about all of that at all. Her beautiful eyes stared fixedly at the closed palace door. Yihua is right behind me. She might be able to sense it. In the end, Yihua still came to see me. Yihua didn't abandon me. Right now, the snowflakes were slowly falling onto the ground. When the snowflakes fell onto Qian Yuqing's body, a layer of white frost quickly appeared on Qian Yuqing's beautiful black hair. However, from Qian Yuqing's position to the palace door, it was only around 20 meters away. However, to the current Qian Yuqing, every single movement was extremely painful. Blood flowed out from her mouth unceasingly, and it was only 10 meters away. Even after suffering such pain, Qian Yuqing didn't give up. Her beautiful eyes were filled with unswerving determination. His elbows were moving slightly as he dragged his injured body. Yihua stood behind the palace door and looked at Qian Yuqing crawling slowly, and the blood that flowed out from the corner of her mouth. All of this seemed so ghastly. Yihua's chest began to undulate up and down, and his breathing became hurried. The sparkling and translucent snowflakes covered the long bloodstain, and Qian Yuqing finally touched the palace door. Because she used too much strength, the skin on her slender fingers was broken, revealing her tender flesh. Just like that, her hand lightly touched the palace door. After that, she used all of her strength to support her exhausted body up and leaned against the palace door. Her breathing was very hurried. Yihua, who was standing behind the palace door, lowered his head and looked at Qian Yuqing. Why is she so persistent? Doesn't she know that she will die like this? Could it be that she just wants to see me? Is it worth it? Yihua. Qian Yuqing called out lightly. Her tone revealed a trace of death. To her, crawling just now was a second injury. All of her subordinates originally guessed that she wouldn't be able to last more than a few days, but now, she might not even need a few days. Being able to feel your existence, Yuqing is already very happy. Qian Yuqing leaned against the cold palace door and said lightly. Her pair of beautiful eyes seemed like they couldn't open anymore. Yuqing knew that you wouldn't die just like that. You must be in some corner. Today Yuqing finally found you. But you don't remember Yuqing anymore. Yuqing is very sad, really very sad. But Yihua, you still came to see Yuqing. You are still the same as before, with a sharp mouth but a soft heart. Do you think that I don't know that you are hiding behind the door? You idiot! Did you forget that you always made Yuqing angry in the past? You even made Yuqing cry a few times, but Yuqing knew that you always stood behind the door and didn't dare to come in. Yihua listened silently. It seemed like he was trying hard to remember, but he couldn't remember. Today Yuqing's tears are happy. Knowing that you, Yihua, didn't die means that Yuqing didn't waste her efforts all these years. Everything is worth it. Yihua, in the future, Yuqing won't be able to take care of mother anymore. Little Tian is being pushed aside everywhere. As the big brother, Yuqing still hopes that you can go back and take a look and fulfill mother's wish. Qian Yuqing's tender and beautiful lips gradually turned pale, and her eyes suddenly brightened up. She raised her head and looked at the snow that filled the sky. Yihua, it's snowing here. It's so beautiful. But it's so cold. Yuqing is so cold, so cold. Qian Yuqing's beautiful eyes that were originally bright gradually dimmed down. The snow that filled the sky landed on Qian Yuqing's body. Yihua, do you still remember what Yuqing said before? Even if I die, I want to die in your embrace. That way it should be very comfortable, very warm. After Qian Yuqing finished speaking, a trace of an arc appeared on the corner of her mouth, and she felt as if she was being hugged by Yihua. Chapter 971. I haven't felt this kind of feeling for 1,000 years, this kind of hug. I've only felt it once. Furthermore, on the day of their wedding, Yihua suddenly needed to go out to battle. When he was about to leave, he hugged me tightly and said that he would come back. Although it was only for a short few seconds, I have never forgotten this feeling in my entire life. It was this feeling. I felt as if my body and mind were being illuminated by the warm sunlight. Qian Yuqing's beautiful eyes, which were originally closed, opened a little. A familiar profile appeared in front of her. Qian Yuqing's beautiful eyes were filled with doubt, but it was soon replaced by surprise. Yihua appeared in front of me, and he even hugged me. He was the same as before. There was no difference. The only difference was that her hairstyle had changed. She didn't look as good as before. However, it didn't matter. Yi Hua was still the same as before, and his gaze was still so cold and indifferent. Qian Yuqing wanted to say something, but she was unable to say anything. She could only use her pair of eyes to tell Yi Hua how much she missed him, how much she worried about him, and how much she loved him. This happiness came too quickly. Qian Yuqing howled and laughed, as if she was a child. Perhaps it was because Qian Yuqing was too tired. She fell asleep in Yi Hua's embrace just like that. Although she fell asleep, her hands were tightly grabbing onto Yi Hua's clothes, fearing that Yi Hua would leave again. Qian Yuqing, who was in a daze, suddenly felt a gust of cold wind and shivered. Feeling the coldness on her body, Qian Yuqing seemed to have thought of something, opened her beautiful eyes and shouted, "Yi Hua!" However, everything in front of him changed. He was still standing in the same place, with the palace gates tightly shut. Qian Yuqing became confused. Could it be that it was all a dream? How is that possible? How can there be such a realistic dream? Yi Hua? Qian Yuqing lowered her head slightly to look at her fingers. Her lips gradually curled into a smile. Then, she raised her head to look at the palace. Yi Hua was still the same as before, wanting to save face no matter what. Right now, Yi Hua was walking in the imperial palace, allowing the snowflakes to land on his shoulders. However, if one were to observe carefully, one would be able to see that a large patch of Yi Hua's chest was wet. This doesn't seem to be wet from the snowflakes, and it seems more like tears. Yi Hua gradually walked to Qing Yutong's palace. Pushing open the door, Yi Hua took off the imperial gown, then lied on the bed and closed his eyes. Yi Hua looked like he was sleeping, but in actuality, he was thinking about a problem. Did he really have to go back? When faced with things that had nothing to do with him in the past, wouldn't that be more trouble? Should he go back or not? Yi Hua probably wouldn't be able to think of an answer to this question. Even if I know that I want to go back to heaven's burial ground, I still lack a reason right now. However, his subordinates had a strange expression on their faces. At this time, Zishan said lightly, "In actuality, his honor is still quite kind." Wei Chong, Lai Gu, and Zhu Tian immediately looked toward Zishan with slanted eyes. "You actually said that his honor is kind? That is because you didn't see that when his honor isn't kind, when his honor is simply exterminating the world. Yeah, that Qian Yuqing is actually quite pitiful." Tang Wei also whispered. However, in the end, his honor was still rather gentle. Li Hun said with a slight smile, "His honor isn't that cold-blooded after all," Lai Gu said in a low voice. "But in the end, I just couldn't understand it. Perhaps his honor is still hesitating in his heart. As long as his honor thinks things through, his honor will naturally be fine." Wei Chong took a deep breath. This time, his honor can be said to have gotten into big trouble. The subordinates also sighed lightly. They couldn't help with this kind of thing at all. After all, this is his honor's family matter, and it's not like the enemy is a powerful enemy. If the enemy is a powerful enemy, it would still be easy to deal with. I would be able to help his honor in a matter of minutes. As expected of that saying, every family has its own problems. At this moment, the door of the room was suddenly pushed open, and Qingye and Donghuang Baiji could be seen walking in. The subordinates hurriedly saluted. "Subordinate pays respect to your wife. Everyone get up," Qingye said gravely. "Thank you, your wife." Qingye and Donghuang Baiji also saw the scene from just now, and they also saw Yi Hua walking into Qing Yutong's room to sleep. However, after everything that happened tonight, how could Qingye and Donghuang Baiji be able to sleep? Wei Chong asked respectfully, "May I know why your wife is coming so late at night?" Donghuang Baiji said in a low voice. "Wei Chong, Lai Gu, the two of you have been following Yi Hua for the longest time. Do you have any ideas?" Wei Chong and Lai Gu took a look at each other. If there were any ideas, they would have used them long ago. Why would they have waited until now? However, since your wife asked about it, Wei Chong still had to say it. "Replying to your esteemed wife, we cannot be too hasty with this matter. Wait until his honor thinks it through, then everything will be fine. What we need to do is to not disturb his honor." Wei Chong gave the most pertinent suggestion. Lai Gu cupped his hands and said, "That's right, when his honor encounters difficulties, he likes to ponder on his own. As long as he thinks it through, it will be fine." Then, how long will it take for him to think it through? Qingye asked. Although Yihua lost his temper today, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji did not blame Yihua. After all, such a thing had happened, Yihua had his emotions too. How long will it take for him to think it through? This question made Wei Chang, Lai Gu, and the others feel troubled. Seeing that the two of them were not speaking, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji understood. From the looks of it, Yihua wouldn't be able to think it through in a short period of time. Everyone rest early, Qingye said lightly, then left with Donghuang Baiji. The subordinates stood there for a while, then went back to their own homes. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji arrived outside of Qing Yutong's bedroom. Do you want to go in and accompany Yihua? Qingye asked puzzledly. Right now, I don't even dare to be sure if Yihua needs someone to accompany him or not. Donghuang Baiji pinched her fingers. It is better for us to not disturb Yihua. It is better for him to be alone. You're right. Qingye nodded her head. Right now, Yihua needs to properly think about it. If he doesn't go back, he will have to bear the reputation of being unfilial. However, to Yihua, he doesn't care about this reputation at all. After all, his reputation in the past was already very bad. However, if he were to go back, he would have to face his family, and even some of his brothers. Furthermore, this would disrupt Yihua's original plan. After all, it was still not the time for Yihua to appear in God's realm, because the people in Kangluo continent had not been dealt with yet. The night gradually dispersed, and a new dawn arrived. Qian Yuqing was still standing outside of the palace, and the streets at the side were all sealed off. Not even a mosquito would be able to enter. However, this situation attracted the attention of the residents, and all of them were guessing what was going on. Especially the anomaly that appeared last night. That 30,000-meter-tall machete. That terrifying vibration. Just what exactly is going on? Everyone was gossiping about this matter in their spare time, and they felt that this matter is definitely related to that woman. What relationship does that woman have with the emperor? Right now, everyone was guessing. The emperor's younger brother is a god. Could it be that this woman who suddenly appeared is a god as well? Chapter 972. Who is she to the emperor? Elder sister or younger sister? Or wife? Or mother? But no matter what her identity is, there is always one thing that is correct, and that is a deity. This Wushu Empire is protected by a deity. Who would dare to come and cause trouble for them? This is what all of Wushu Empire's citizens care about. They feel that their safety has received another layer of protection. They even feel that in the entire Kangluo continent, Wushu Empire is the most awesome, and the others are all trash. Within the imperial palace, Yihua sat in Qing Yutong's palace and enjoyed his breakfast. There was only a fruit jianbing, but it was also one of Yihua's favorite breakfast. Every time I eat this fruit jianbing with egg and ham, I will think of that auntie, the only person who dares to talk back to me. To be more accurate, it should be said that I am teaching her a lesson. But I actually continued to listen to her. Could it be that I lack a lesson? Bullshit. I have always been the one teaching others how to do things. When did it become someone else's turn to teach me a lesson? Master, the fruit jianbing won't taste good when it gets cold. Daji, who was serving at the side, reminded. Yihua picked up the fruit jianbing on the plate and took a bite. I feel that today's fruit jianbing doesn't taste good at all. Yihua lightly placed the fruit jianbing on the table and asked faintly, "Are you still standing outside?" Replying to Master yes, Yihua took in a deep breath, then stepped out of the room. Daji picked up the fruit jianbing on the table and took a bite at the place where Yihua had just bitten. Daji revealed out a satisfied smile. So fragrant, to Daji this was a type of satisfaction. Walking in his huge imperial palace, Yihua discovered that he had nowhere to go. He felt very bored no matter where he went. Should I go look for Qingye and Donghuang Baiji? I just scolded them yesterday, and I am going to look for them today. This isn't my style. It's still Qian Yuqing who is standing at the entrance. Towards this woman, Yihua didn't know how to choose. Like her? How is that possible? Don't like her? Then why did I save her yesterday night? It must be the pity of this Supreme Lord that is causing mischief. As expected, I shouldn't have cultivated my humanity back then. Great, I have cultivated myself into an indecisive person. I am still overcautious when making a decision. 3 days passed by very quickly, and Yihua still did not go out to see Qian Yuqing. Qian Yuqing had been standing at the entrance of the palace the whole time. Her attitude was very clear. If you don't meet Yuqing face to face, don't even think about letting Yuqing go. Things were rather calm here, but something big had happened in Lingdu. Qian Yuqing's maid noticed that the young miss was missing. Qian clan was instantly shaken. Huang Yin soon received the news that his fiancée had actually gone missing. Instantly he flew into a rage. Yi Juetian thought that his sister-in-law would be able to bring his big brother back within a day. But unexpectedly, it had been 3 days and sister-in-law still hadn't come back, and she had been discovered. Because of Imperial Cloud, the entire spirit capital was under martial law, and they began to interrogate and investigate the news. Yi Juetian was incomparably worried right now. If this matter were to be exposed, it would definitely not be a good thing. Moreover, Yi Juetian was sure that they would be looking for him very soon. Huang Yin definitely knew that he was close to sister-in-law. What should he do? Little Tian, are you outside? At this moment, Yi Juetian was standing in front of his mother's house. Lu Jing's shouts could be heard from inside. Yi Juetian pushed open the door and entered the house, then revealed a smile. Mother. Lu Jing's expression was a lot better, and a trace of redness could be seen on her face. This was all thanks to the spiritual spring. However, Yi Juetian noticed that today his mother seemed to be a bit strange, as if she was very agitated. Little Tian, come to mother's side. Lu Jing called out tenderly. Yi Juetian walked to his mother's side and sat down, then turned his head around and said with a smile, Mother, what happened? Where did Yuqing go? Lu Jing asked straightforwardly. Yi Juetian went into a daze. Could it be that mother discovered something? This shouldn't be. I and sister-in-law did it so secretly, mother shouldn't have discovered it. Little Tian, Yuqing has never been like this before, and this time, she suddenly disappeared. Furthermore, it was after you went to look for Yuqing. Mother isn't an idiot, tell mother, is it because of your big brother? The agitated Lu Jing immediately grabbed onto Yi Juetian's hand. Yi Juetian felt the strength of his mother's hand, and he could feel that his mother's hand was slightly trembling. After Lu Jing found out that Yuqing had disappeared, she only had a single thought in her mind, and that was Yuqing definitely had news about Yihua. If not, Yuqing wouldn't have left just like that. Little Tian, tell mother, did you find your big brother? Hearing his mother's pleading, Yi Juetian finally couldn't bear it anymore. That's right, I found big brother, sister-in-law went to look for big brother. Yi Juetian didn't hide it anymore. At the same time, he knew that since there wasn't any reaction from sister-in-law for a few days, it was definitely because big brother wasn't willing to come back. When Lu Jing heard her son's words, her entire body froze. Her lips were slightly trembling, and a layer of mist appeared in her eyes. Standing up, Lu Jing knelt down in front of the god and paid her respects. God bless my son, my Yihua is still alive. As she spoke, Lu Jing's tone became choked with sobs. Yi Juetian helped his mother up. Mother, you can't be too agitated. Little Tian, this is great, this is great. Lu Jing looked at her youngest son with a face full of joy. Lu Jing felt that her entire world had brightened up. After waiting for so many years, this day is finally here. Yi Juetian didn't even know what to say. Mother is so happy, could it be that I am going to be punished again? Looking at her youngest son's expression, Lu Jing lightly caressed Yi Juetian's face. Is Yihua not willing to come back? Lu Jing was indeed worthy of being the talented woman of the past. Her foresight was like a god. If Yihua was willing to come back, he would have long returned together with his youngest son. If Yuqing was willing to come back, she would have brought Yihua back long ago. However, even now Yihua was still not back. There was only one possibility, and that was that Yihua wasn't willing to come back. Mother, big brother lost his memory. Yi Juetian naturally had to explain. Lu Jing chuckled. Then it makes sense. No wonder your brother isn't willing to come back. Mother, but what? Yi Juetian wanted to say something, but he didn't dare to. Should he say it or not? But Big Brother has changed a lot. He's not the same Big Brother as before. Yi Juetian felt that he had to tell his mother, so that she could be mentally prepared. If his Big Brother came back, at least his mother would know about it and wouldn't be so sad. Lu Jing sighed heavily after hearing this. Your Big Brother lost his memory, so it's normal for him to have some changes. But mother, Big Brother has changed a lot. At this moment, Lu Jing couldn't help but become vigilant. Do you still not know what kind of moral character Yihua has? Take pleasure in helping others, love the people, and eradicate evil. He would do all kinds of good deeds, and wherever there was injustice, he would rush there to save the people who were living in the abyss of suffering. That was why Yihua was deeply loved and respected by the people back then. Chapter 973. Is your Big Brother living well now? Lu Jing asked lightly, not in a hurry to ask why. Big Brother is currently living in Kangluo continent. He is an emperor. Yi Juetian said softly, thinking that Big Brother is currently a tyrant. Lu Jing laughed. Then he should be a good emperor. I feel that Yihua is made to be an emperor. In the past, Lu Jing wouldn't dare to say such disrespectful words, but right now, she was too happy, so she said it. Mother, I don't know if Big Brother is a good emperor or not, but when I saw Big Brother, he was currently massacring some defenseless people. There were old and young. Tens of thousands of people were all beheaded. Impossible. After hearing this, Lu Jing was so excited that she stood up. In Lu Jing's heart, Yihua definitely wouldn't do such a thing. How could he possibly go and kill some defenseless people? I saw it with my own eyes. Those people seem to have angered Big Brother, but Big Brother's way of doing things is too extreme. As a deity, Yi Juetian had been instilled with great principles since he was young, and back then, Yihua was also the same. I wonder if this should be called brainwashing. Did your Big Brother do anything else? Right now, Lu Jing still didn't dare to be sure. There was definitely something that he had no choice but to do. Big Brother married 2 wives. Lu Jing didn't become unhappy after hearing this. Although deities were monogamous, that was only for commoners. For some experts, it was very normal for them to have a few more women to reproduce. Have you seen those 2 women? How are their characters? Lu Jing asked curiously. After all, they were her son's wives. She still had to ask about them. Yi Juetian nodded. And Big Brother's 2 wives seem to be pretty good. They are comparable to Big Sister-in-law. Lu Jing laughed lightly, then revealed a helpless expression. Does your Big Sister-in-law know? Understood. This is really hard for Yuqing. After waiting for Yihua for so many years, after being infatuated with him for so many years, Yihua actually married someone else. Lu Jing sighed lightly. Right now, her daughter-in-law, Lu Jing only recognizes Qian Yuqing. After all, Qian Yuqing had been watching over Yihua for so many years. Such a daughter-in-law was really hard to find. Why isn't your Big Brother willing to come back? Lu Jing finally asked this crucial question. Although her son had lost his memory, he was still unwilling to come back. As a mother, how could she not feel heartache for the flesh that fell from her body? Yi Juetian still decided not to say the exact words. Big Brother, you still haven't mentally prepared yourself, right? Just accept it. After all, my appearance was very unexpected. That's true. After all, your Big Brother has been wandering outside for thousands of years. I can understand. Although Lu Jing said so, she felt a little sad in her heart. However, at this moment, the sound of hurried footsteps came from the door. Bang! The door was pushed open by a man, and Yi Juetian immediately stood at the side and respectfully called out, Lord Father. That's right. The person who came was the patriarch of Yi family, Yi Shan, who was also Yihua's biological father. Yi Shan's physique was well proportioned. He wasn't very muscular, nor was he very skinny. His facial features were excellent, but they were currently covered by a layer of anger. Standing behind Yi Shan was the 3rd brother Yi Chen. The Yi family guard stood at the door, as if waiting to arrest someone. Yi Shan glanced at Lu Jing, then shifted his gaze to Yi Juetian. Speak. Where is Qian Yuqing? Yi Juetian's heart sank. As expected, it was because of his sister-in-law. I reckon that the higher-ups are pressuring me. Father, how would I know about Qian Yuqing's matter? Yi Juetian slightly lowered his head and replied. At this crucial moment, I definitely cannot reveal any information. Right at this moment, Yi Chun said solemnly, Sixth brother, this matter concerns our entire Yi family. Third brother, I really don't know. I haven't contacted Qian Yuqing for a very long time already. Yi Juetian said gravely. His tone was filled with sincerity, and it didn't seem like he was lying. Yi Juetian, father will give you one last chance. Yi Shan shouted out coldly. Yi Juetian didn't have the slightest bit of fear. Towards this biological father of his, Yi Juetian's impression of him was becoming worse and worse. Father, I don't know. Very good. Yi Shan looked towards Lu Jing, then directly walked over. Upon seeing this, Yi Juetian immediately stopped him. Father, what are you trying to do? Scram. Yi Shan directly angrily tossed his son to the side. Yi Chen casually took out a purple rope and tied Yi Juetian up. Yi Shan walked in front of Lu Jing and looked at the woman in front of him. A trace of struggle flashed past his eyes, which was soon replaced by determination. Yi Shan opened the brocade box on the small table, and within it, there were 2 bottles of spiritual spring. Yi Shan directly took them away. Lu Jing just looked at her husband's actions. She didn't stop him, nor did she say anything. Father, you can't do this, that's mother's life extension spring water. Yi Juetian, who was tied up, roared angrily. I really didn't expect father to be so heartless to this extent. It's fine if you don't give mother the spiritual spring water, but you actually took away mother's spiritual spring water. Now that he had taken away his mother's spirit spring water, he was cutting off his mother's path to survival. Yi Shan walked towards the door and said gravely, Yi Juetian, you better bring Qian Yuqing back for me. After he finished speaking, Yi Shan left the courtyard. Yi Chen took a look inside the house, then casually waved his hand, and the purple rope that was tying Yi Juetian landed in Yi Chen's hands. Yi Shan, you are not human. Pa. Just as Yi Juetian finished shouting, he was sent flying and landed outside the courtyard. Little Tian. Lu Jing shouted in pain. However, Yi Shan's voice rang out in the air. If you are disrespectful again, don't blame father for punishing you. Yi Juetian wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth. He clenched his fists tightly, but there was nothing he could do. Little Tian. Lu Jing ran over with small steps, with a look of concern in her eyes. She gently wiped off the blood at the corner of her son's mouth. Mother, your son is useless. Yi Juetian cried. He hated himself for being useless. He could only watch as his father took away his mother's life-saving medicine. Yet he was powerless to do anything. Lu Jing hugged Yi Juetian lightly. Little Tian, this is not your fault. This is not your fault. This is not anyone's fault either. Mother, are you still speaking up for father? He is trying to force you to death. Little Tian, your father has done enough. Mother is just a burden. Mother also does not wish for you to hate father. Do you understand? But mother. All right, little Tian, don't call your father by his name in the future. Lu Jing said seriously. This Yi clan's family rules were still very strict. What else could Yi Juetian do? I can only nod my head. Yi Shan, who was walking far away, held 2 bottles of spirit spring water in his hands. His expression was a little strange, as if he was forcefully enduring the pain in his heart. Father, little Tian will understand in the future. Yi Chen stood behind and said softly. Yi Shan stopped in his tracks. His gaze turned deep as he continued walking forward. As the head of the Yi clan, Yi Shan had a lot of helplessness. The entire Yi clan was in his hands. Many of the decisions were not up to him. Yi Shan walked into the front hall. He cupped his hands towards a man in the hall and shouted, Ninth Prince. Chapter 974. Of course, this man was Huang Yin. He turned around and asked in a deep voice, Patriarchy, is there any news of Yuqing? Don't worry, Ninth Prince. Yi Shan did not say anything and only told Huang Yin not to worry. Huang Yin did not pursue the matter. He understood what Yi Shan meant and nodded. Bring Yuqing back, and your Yi clan will receive many benefits. Thank you, Ninth Prince. Yi Shan and Yi Chen cupped their hands. Huang Yun heaved a sigh of relief and walked out of the hall. Farewell, Ninth Prince. After sending Huang Yun off, Yi Shan sat at the side with a sullen expression. Yi Chen poured a cup of tea. Father, will Old Sixth know where Qian Yuqing is? Yi Shan held the teacup as steam swirled around it. Yi Shan did not drink and said indifferently, Old Sixth must know. Should we send someone to follow Old Sixth? Yi Chen asked softly. Yi Shan shook his head. I only want the results, not the process. Yi Chen understood, but he still asked softly, Father, Qian Yuqing has never been like this before. Now that she suddenly disappeared, could something have happened? Or does she have some clues about Big Brother? Yi Chen added. Crack. The teacup in Yi Shan's hand instantly shattered, and hot tea splashed onto his fingers. However, this heat was nothing to Yi Shan. There was no joy or disgust in Yi Shan's eyes. Logically speaking, he should be happy. Old Third, don't be like your big brother. Do you understand? Yi Shan reprimanded sternly. Yi Chen replied respectfully, Father, I understand. Your brother has brought this upon himself. Yi Shan said in a deep voice, then he stood up and left. Yi Chen bowed slightly and sent his father off. After his father left, Yi Chen frowned slightly. Big Brother was too outstanding, so outstanding that even his brothers were jealous, not to mention others. Furthermore, Big Brother was very stubborn and not tactful enough, offending countless people. He even dared to offend the emperor for the sake of commoners. His father was very straightforward. Don't learn from Big Brother. If Big Brother had been more low-profile back then, he would not have ended up like this. Actually, in the eyes of those with power, they could guess that the Yi clan's first young master had obstructed many people's interests, so they could only eliminate him. No matter how outstanding a person was, if they did not know how to conduct themselves, they would definitely invite a fatal disaster. Big Brother was a classic example. In fact, in his father's eyes, the Yi family had fallen to such a state because of his eldest brother. On the other side, Yi Juetian naturally went to find Qian Yuqing. If he didn't find Qian Yuqing, his mother's life would be in danger. Lu Jing didn't stop Yi Juetian. She hoped that Xiao Tian would be able to bring Yi Hua back, and let her take a look at Yi Hua while she was still alive. That was enough. To Lu Jing, her satisfaction was to see her son. That was all. Yi Juetian secretly found Mute in the boundary room, and used the same method to come to the Kangluo continent. In an instant, he appeared at the entrance of Voidless Empire. Yi Juetian immediately rushed towards the imperial palace with an anxious look on his face. Even his eyes were bloodshot right now. However, Yi Juetian discovered that a group of yellow-armored warriors were blocking his way. The yellow-armored warrior instantly pulled out the blade at his waist and pointed it at Yi Juetian. How could Yi Juetian still care about anything else right now? 2 pitch-black broadswords appeared in his hands. Those who block me shall die. The enraged Yi Juetian immediately raised his blade and rushed forward. Yi Juetian had the strength of a supreme, after all. And the yellow-armored warrior was not a match for him at all. Yi Juetian's attack instantly created an opening in his body. Looking at the white figure not far away, Yi Juetian knew that it was his sister-in-law. But why was sister-in-law standing here? Yi Juetian directly flew towards Qian Yuqing. However, at this moment, the yellow-armored warrior seemed to have given up on resisting and continued to lock him down. Within the imperial palace, Dongfang Yu was standing beside Yi Hua, and Zhu Tian was squatting on Dongfang Yu's shoulder. Yi Hua was holding onto a pair of scissors and was trimming a potted plant, while Dongfang Yuan was standing at the back and teaching Yi Hua softly. Only by doing so would Yi Hua feel a bit more comfortable. Your Honor, your little brother is coming over. Very quickly, Wei Chang's reminder appeared in Yi Hua's mind. With a gotcha sound, Yi Hua directly cut the flower. Dongfang Yuan who was standing behind him, hurriedly lowered her head and took a step back. Yi Hua didn't say anything and continued trimming. However, this time he seemed to be absent-minded. At the entrance of the palace, Qian Yuqing turned her head around and looked towards Yi Juetian, then asked confusedly, Little Tian, Why did you come over? Sister-in-law. Yi Juetian walked over to Qian Yuqing's side. Looking at the blood on Qian Yuqing's clothes, Yi Juetian's brows tightly wrinkled. Qian Yuqing laughed lightly. I'm fine. I gave Yihua a beating just now, and right now he is hiding inside and doesn't dare to see me. Yi Juetian naturally knew that Qian Yuqing was just ting. My sister-in-law is just too kind to the point that I can't bear to hurt her. Trust me, Yihua will come to a compromise very soon. Qian Yuqing squeezed out a trace of a smile and said, Sister-in-law, I'm afraid that we don't have the time to wait anymore. What's the matter? Imperial Cloud has already discovered that you have gone missing, and right now, the entire spiritual city is on high alert. Furthermore, upon hearing that, Qian Yuqing's expression changed greatly. Furthermore, what happened? Father took away Mother's spirit spring and told me to bring you back, if not Mother. Speaking up to here, Yi Juetian tightly clenched his fists. How can there be such a scoundrel husband in this world? He is simply inhumane. Qian Yuqing also knew how serious this matter was. It is definitely Imperial Cloud who is behind this matter. Could it be that this person has gone mad? To actually use such a despicable method? I have indeed underestimated Imperial Cloud in the past. However, the truth was not something that Imperial Cloud requested. He only requested Yi Shan to bring Qian Yuqing back. Qian Yuqing looked at the Imperial Palace. If I were to go back this time, I would most likely not be able to come out, let alone see Yihua. Imperial Cloud would definitely be impatient to complete the marriage with me. And if I don't agree to it, Yihua's mother would be in danger. However, do I really have to leave right now? I still haven't seen Yihua yet. I can't bear to leave. Sister-in-law, Big Brother has already changed. He has changed to the point that we don't even recognize him anymore. Yi Juetian was very disappointed with his big brother. In the past, he felt that his big brother would be able to support the family, but right now his big brother is actually hiding in the Imperial Palace and not coming out. No, your big brother didn't change. Qian Yuqing was firm in her belief. If Yihua had changed, I would have already died that night. In the end, it was still him who didn't allow it. In the past, he had already said that if I were to die, he wouldn't allow it. Yi Juetian suddenly roared out. No, Big Brother has changed. In the past, if Big Brother knew that Mother was being wronged, no matter where he was, he would still rush back. However, right now he only knows how to hide in the Imperial Palace and not dare to face reality. Hearing Yi Juetian's roar, Qian Yuqing hurriedly said, Little Tian, you cannot be so rude. No matter what, Yihua is still your big brother. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.